Welcome to Mr. Podcast with Claude.
And Justin.
We're back with our Twin Peaks The Return podcast series, and we're talking about episode. I keep saying episode because that's what all other TV calls it.
Throwing you
Part
off.
Part Four. We just finished recording our podcast about Part Three, so yeah, we're just going to continue that conversation. Hopefully, you've listened to that whole thing and you know where we left off.
Yeah, so I guess we're gonna pick up with part four here.
Mm-hmm.
Part four picks up with Cooper, good Cooper, in the role of Dougie, I guess, at the casino, um, playing the playing the slot machines and such. Uh, and eventually he runs into I guess, some friends of Dougie's who recognize him, um, and they give him some um, information, I guess, about where he lives. Like, his house has a red door and what street it's on and stuff. Like, that's the only way he's able to get home.
Yeah.
Um, like, otherwise, he would have been lost forever. Um, so anyway, he wins at the slots a bunch, and eventually gets pulled in to meet the casino manager. Um, and the casino manager gives him the money, and basically offers him a limo to take him home. And Cooper notices that there's cameras watching them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to come up. I think eventually, even though it didn't happen when I expected it, I think eventually the FBI is going to see this Cooper. I feel like that's got to happen. It'll probably be too late, but I think they're going to find out that that he was in this casino.
But wouldn't they just think it's Dougie?
No, I think they'll know. I think they'll know it's Cooper, cuz I don't think anyone knows that Dougie was a Cooper, you
Well,
know?
but I mean, Dougie seems to exist, right? So if they
Yeah.
go to the guy who owns the casino here and says, "Hey, who's the guy on the security footage?" He's gonna say it's Dougie, whatever Dougie's name
Right,
is,
right, right. But if
and
they
then they're gonna look up
recognize
his
him.
file and they're gonna say, "Hey, this is a guy who exists. He just looks like Cooper."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
why would
yeah.
they think that that's actually Cooper? I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here. I'm just saying, like, would they just naturally assume, well, it's even though this Dougie's a real person who looks like Cooper, that's not him. This is Cooper. Or would they just say, no, well, this is Dougie because that's more plausible than the idea that Cooper showed up out of nowhere, or actually that there's two Coopers at this point, because they,
Right. It's
you
going to
know,
have to be an yeah, I think for it to really work. I mean, it does help that the Cooper, who he is now, he's lost weight, his haircut's different. That there is a distinction between him and Dougie, the original version.
mm-hmm.
That might help, but I do think there's gonna have to be an idea in their minds that there could be more than one Cooper for them to even entertain it. So I don't know where
Yeah.
they're gonna get that idea.
Well, and not that just there's more than one, but there's an idea that because what's weird is it's weird there's more than one, but it's extra weird that Cooper is basically impersonating one, through no fault of his own. You
Right.
know what I mean? So like it's because if they found him, they wouldn't say, "Oh, well, there's more than one Cooper, so this is Dougie, and there's another Cooper somewhere, right? The real Cooper." It's like, but no, this is actually the real Cooper, and
Right.
Dougie's gone. That's a
Right.
that's a completely extra leap they have to make.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I mean, presumably he'll just get his memories back and his cognitive functions back, and
Right.
he can just say, "Hey, I'm Cooper.
Right. Right.
I'm
Right.
not Dougie." I'm hoping that's what happens after he drinks the coffee. I'm hoping like either he's really back after that, or he's on the road to being back. Maybe another episode,
Mm-hmm.
and he will finally reintegrate.
Right.
maybe he needs some pie, you know.
Right,
Um,
of
oh,
course.
one of the things I wanted to mention that particularly was uh, apparent in that purple room stuff at the beginning of episode of part
Uh oh.
3. Um, I really shouldn't care, but I feel like I need to respect it.
I know. It's clearly a thing.
It's a thing, and I feel like it's a thing. So it's a thing, Jerry. It's a thing.
Like if he didn't care, it would just be episodes.
Yeah. So what I was gonna say was that whole red, the stuff with the lady and going through the socket and
Mm-hmm.
being in space in the box and all that stuff. One of the things that I realized is that that's kind of missing, even though we're seeing our actual Cooper, is we don't get, compared to like in the original Twin Peaks, a lot of the times when Cooper was going and seeing a lot of crazy stuff, he would be, he would either talk to people out loud, tell people out loud what he's thinking about this strange stuff, or he'd like record a tape for Diane, and we'd get this, internal monologue that he has, and
Right.
so we got to really understand what he's thinking about this crazy stuff, and that's really missing. When he's in this alternate reality place where we don't get to hear him say what he's actually thinking about all this stuff. So I was rewatching some of the old Twin Peaks and saw him recording, talking to Diane. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what's missing from Cooper. Is this that kind of thing where he was very verbose about his thoughts, and
Right.
he's completely the opposite
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, I mean, they've completely. We've had no like normal Cooper really at all.
Mm-hmm.
In the new. This is 4 hours that have passed. 4 out of 18, and
Yeah.
there hasn't been a new the normal Cooper yet. It is interesting in the pilot how like I think it's about 40 minutes that pass before Cooper appears.
Mm-hmm.
There's it's quite a bit. So I mean, maybe it's something along those lines. It's just a big delay because I can't imagine they're gonna go to the end of this without giving giving the fans some actual Cooper stuff. Um,
Yeah, yeah. My hunch says the next episode he's more or less Cooper. I really do think the coffee helped.
yeah, that makes sense. I could that totally seems like a thing they would write.
Mm-hmm.
Because like presumably he hasn't had at least
Yeah,
normal
I think.
coffee for 25 years.
Well, I don't think he's had food. I think they kind of made that point that he had had food or drink or used the bathroom in 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was a point they made, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, yeah, I wonder how good that coffee is. Like, is it going to be the best coffee ever just because he hasn't had it in forever? Or is he still going to be like, doesn't beat that Twin Peaks coffee?
I thought he spit it out because it was hot.
Yeah, I thought he spit it out because it was hot, yeah. But I'm just curious what he would think about the coffee.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He had strong opinions about coffee.
Yeah. That's how we'll know he's back.
Absolutely.
If he critiques the coffee in some, like, verbose fashion.
Right. Right.
Um, but yeah, anyway, where are we in the scene?
Um. Oh, he's about to go in the limo and
Ah, okay.
get a ride home. So he gets in the limo and they have to find the house with the red door. They find the house with the red door. Um. And I remember during this thing, I was thinking like, those guys are gonna come and kill him now. I guess they don't realize he ever left that house. But I'm just thinking like, I could see that they would know where he lives,
Mm-hmm.
and like if they never saw him leave, like I don't know, maybe at a certain point they stake out his house or something.
Yeah, that's
Um,
plausible.
so, so I was expecting that the whole time. It never happened. Anyway, uh, So he gets home, and that's when Naomi Watts appears.
What?
Uh,
Hollywood's Naomi Watts?
Hollywood's Naomi Watts.
Yeah, the crowd went wild.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily expect that, but it seems fitting, I guess, that Naomi Watts would be in this. Like you said, it's sort of like
All our friends are here.
it's sort of like the ultimate Lynch project or something.
It really is. It's you know what it reminds. It feels very appropriate for the times that we have these like you know, extended universes on films and
Yeah.
TV, and these like mega movie crossovers. Uh, these kind of super movies that are happening now with like Avengers and stuff. It feels like that. It feels like this like union of his works, and it's just like yeah. I expect people from Inland Empire to show up.
Yep.
Just
Yep.
everybody. It's just a Lynch party. Like, come on,
Yeah.
rabbits. I better see some rabbits before the end of this thing. You know,
Oh man, you want rabbits?
I want some rabbits. You're
Damn.
telling me like he isn't gonna at some point pass through some reality that's rabbits, and that'll be like the explanation of rabbits. That it's
Oh my
just a
god.
reality, like all these other crazy realities.
That actually sounds plausible. Seriously.
Yeah, I know it's the worst. It's like yeah, that could happen.
Why not? I mean,
Why not?
it's
Yeah.
not like rabbits is that much crazier than the stuff they've done already.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so what? They're rabbits.
So what the rabbits?
It's almost normal.
Yeah, yeah. There's parts of this show that's crazier than rabbits for sure.
Just hanging out in the house, having weird
Rabbits hanging out in the
conversations.
house. What's so weird about that?
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, oh man. So, yeah. So she reveals, he hasn't been back in some time, I guess. Um, and so she takes him in the house and finds out that he's got all this money in the bag, and that's when he find out he's got people to pay off, and that's what made
Mm-hmm.
me think that's who was waiting for him. um though that hasn't been confirmed yet, but you know we'll see.
Yep.
All right. So, are you ready for the next thing?
Well, it goes without saying. It's just, I just want to call back what I said on our first Twin Peaks podcast about the first two episodes. I just felt unworthy of that experience, and that just keeps happening every episode. And again, Naomi Watts showing up. It's just it just doesn't get any better than that. If you're a fan of David Lynch, you're a fan of Twin Peaks, you're a fan of Mulholland Drive, and then like it's crazy. Yeah, it is weird. It feels like um, David Lynch's like magnum opus. And after this, he's gonna quit filmmaking,
Yeah.
or something like
Yeah.
everything he's got to say about filmmaking. He's gonna say it here, and all of his best actors are gonna come out and help him do it.
Yeah.
It's yeah, it feels grander than just Twin Peaks is back.
Right.
When doing things like this casting,
Some
and
of them managed to give their final performance.
yeah, I
Like,
mean,
it's
getting
crazy.
what's her name, Catherine Coulson,
Yeah.
like who played the log
Yeah.
lady, like getting her before she died. It's just Miguel Ferrer. I
Yep.
mean,
Yep.
dude, I mean, what would these Cole scenes be like without Albert there?
It's not the same at all.
It's not the same at all. And later
Yeah.
in this episode, when he turns to him, and we get this this scene between the two of them, which is like interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Them having their own like deep relationship here.
Right.
That goes back. He's like, hey, let's cut this shit and talk for real. Like, this is strange, right? Okay, good. Yes, we're
Right.
seeing reality the same way. Yeah, that would have been so different if Miguel Ferrer hadn't been able to do those scenes, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just feels really extra special to kind of to get these actors to come do this stuff. And like I said, you know, Balthazar Getty.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, at this point, Bill Pullman has to show up. I mean, is Isabella Rossellini still alive? Right? I'm
Yep.
pretty sure
Yep.
she is.
She
I
is, I
mean,
believe.
I'm just gonna wet my pants if she shows up. You know, I know we can't get Dennis um,
Hopper.
Hopper because he died a while
Right.
ago.
Right. Laura
But
Dern.
Laura Dern is definitely
I would
possible.
imagine she would show up.
Yeah, she should show up. Yeah, another Inland Empire. Yeah. And yeah, Blue Velvet. So she's a
Is
double
Justin
ringer.
Theroux gonna show up?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
It's
No,
gonna
that'd
be
be
really
so
weird.
cool.
He's on two
Yeah, and
shows at the
he's
same
at a
time.
hotel or something. Oh, geez. Yeah, he puts on like those black glasses, and it's like, who are you? He's like, I don't know. Yeah, it would be it's very cool to see. It's almost like you can make a drinking game, like
Mm-hmm.
you know, take a shot every time a Lynch actor from the movie shows up on the show.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, it's it's pretty cool. So yeah, I hope we see all the cast of characters. It's you know, Patricia Arquette. I mean, come on,
That's a good point. You're right.
you
Yeah.
know, give me some. I mean, I feel like Jennifer Jason Lee. I mean, if you get her, Patricia Arquette's right next door, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You would think so.
You know. So yeah, I'm expecting to see all those people. You know, and maybe some of them will be saved for like you know if we see any White Lodge characters, maybe. You know, I could see Laura Dern being a White Lodger or
Right.
something, or
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So yeah, it'd be cool if not only do these actors, you know, have parts to play, but it'd be cool if they played some of the new crazy stuff we haven't even gotten into.
Yeah.
Everything from Michael Cera. Jeez, wow. I'm still not up. I don't know how I feel about that still. It's just a little weird. A little weird. I did like when the guard was like, "Okay, I'll wait here with you." Um,
Oh
that said
yeah.
a lot about his character, and I thought it was very unusual.
Yeah, definitely.
It was just a great moment. I was like, "Oh, wow, okay, this guy has some like depth to his character, huh? Okay, for a guy we probably won't see again." I thought that was an interesting little beat there. And then when he comes home to when she brings him in the house, and you know she's like, "You missed the birthday party" and all this stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the way the house was lit was interesting. You know, because I'm looking at all these scenes like from how Cooper must, you know, could be looking at it in terms of like, here's just more places I'm traveling to, you know, and I'm just like, well, what does this room look like to him, you know? This like yellow lighting and like you know balloons everywhere like he might not understand you know what the decorations mean and like how if you didn't know what a birthday party looked like and you walked into a room that might be weird you know
Right.
there's these just spherical objects floating about multicolored and you know so anyway I just thought like just how they did you know design that scene lighting wise was really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise, Dougie.
Dougie.
And of all the people a Cooper Doppelganger married, it's Naomi Watts.
Right. Right. Yeah, I feel like if it made any sense, like some of these people would play their characters from the other movies.
Yeah, it's they almost are, regardless.
Yeah.
You know, it's so tough to tell.
Yeah.
Especially
Definitely.
like if Laura Dern shows up, because her whole point in Inland Empire was what her identity was,
Right.
and the whole thing with the play and the movie, and yeah, she could totally show up.
Right.
and be like
Yeah.
anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Cool. You want to go to the next part?
Sure. Okay. So next up we get. Speaking of people coming back, we get a scene between Gordon Cole and Denise Bryson, played by David
Wow.
Duchovny, which we
TV's
talked
David
about
Duchovny.
earlier. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a big surprise. Apparently,
Mm-hmm.
she's the FBI chief of staff at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, there's an extra reveal here that I thought was kind of interesting and surprising slash unexpected. Maybe that's the same thing. Um, uh, I guess they reveal that when she was working in the DEA, she was undercover for the FBI. That was not clear from the original series at all.
Huh. Okay.
So that was a weird little thing to add in, like that. She wasn't just a DEA agent, which is the way she was portrayed in the original series.
Oh, so they're saying that's why she's working at the FBI now because she was working at the FBI all along.
That's it. Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. But it kind
Interesting.
of changes what the story was a little
Uh
bit.
huh.
The idea that she was undercover. Um,
Yeah,
as
I
the
don't know.
DEA
Does, does
agent.
does the that seems really scandalous for the FBI to go undercover in the DEA? That is
Is
that a
it?
thing?
Or did
That
they just
seems
make that up? No, I assume they do that all the time.
that seems. I don't know. That seems. I don't know what the what the procedures are if you are investigating crimes related to people within the DEA. I don't know how that works, but that seems. I don't know. That just seems weird to me. But maybe that's a thing. That's almost
Yeah,
like saying, the FBI going undercover in the CIA. That sounds wrong. That
yeah.
sounds like that's not the way you solve the crime. You would like work within from top down or
What if you
something,
don't trust the
like.
DA? What if there's something fishy going on?
Yeah,
You
but don't they
gotta.
have their own internal what is it called? Their own internal authority that governs their practices.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Internal affairs.
Internal affairs. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It just sounded weird to me. I didn't catch that's what he was saying, so I'm glad you brought that up. Um, because I didn't remember that he was DEA. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah. That was the thing. He comes in because of the uh, it was the Jean Renault story, like
Mm-hmm.
where they planted cocaine on Cooper's car or something.
Yeah.
They bring the footage of him at One Eye Jacks. There's this corrupt
Mm-hmm.
Mountie involved, and it's what happened. And yeah, she comes down because of the drugs, basically.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, eventually that leads to a confrontation, and I don't know if
Yeah, that's what I thought he was explaining, and it's not what he's explaining. I thought he was saying because doesn't Denise say that she first went like wore women's clothing while she was undercover.
she does say that. Yeah,
Yeah, that and I thought that's what he was talking about when he said when I had you working undercover. I thought he was saying, I thought he was basically saying like the job that you went on where you first put on women's clothing and then that led you to transitioning.
right.
Like I was responsible for that job. I thought he was like trying to set that context up.
Right.
That's why I was confused. Okay, he's not saying it was that job
Yeah, I guess not.
necessarily.
I guess not. Yeah. Yeah, that it could. I mean, it could have been. I guess, or they could have coincided, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's specifically undercover in the DA.
I see. Yeah, that's why I got confused. I thought he was setting the. I thought he was like taking responsibility for that because later, he starts talking about protecting her when
Mm-hmm.
she became Denise and all that. And I thought
Yeah.
that thought that's what the point was. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, yes, I think part of it is just to explain like why she's working at the FBI now.
Mm-hmm.
Because like it's not really a great place for the DEA here. Although I guess they do end up finding cocaine on Evil Cooper, which is a little weird. I don't know why he had cocaine. Anyway, um,
It'll make sense when you're older.
all right, fair enough. I mean, did he was he using cocaine? I don't know. Anyway,
He's a
um,
bad boy. Of course he's using cocaine. David Lynch's bad boys ride motorcycles, they wear leather jackets, and they do cocaine.
that seems so
Unless
old
you're
fashioned.
unless you're a good bad boy like James.
Oh, yeah, of course. Bad boy with a heart of gold. He's just quiet
Mm-hmm.
now.
He's just quiet now. Shh.
If you listen, you can hear him.
Being quiet. Sounds like silence. He's good at it. Yeah. Oh, James. We kid. Anyway, did you want to continue describing this scene before I continue talking about it?
No, I mean they have a discussion about some stuff,
Yeah.
the history, and then Denise brings up this thing like, "Oh, you're gonna take this Tammy Preston with you. You've got some kind of, like
Mm-hmm.
she's dirty and you
Yeah.
old
So
dog you,"
there's two things I want to talk
and he's
about, and
like,
that's
"I'm old school."
yeah. I really think there's something here that's new. This strange thing that like Gordon Cole has to watch out for like the young sexy agent
Yeah,
because it might take his eye off the ball or get him in trouble, and I feel like that's new information.
absolutely.
And it's like, wow, that's very strange to for this guy who seems to be Mayberry wholesome. It's a very interesting new addition to his character to be like, "Hey, Gordon, just so you know, you have a history of this problem I'm alluding to."
Yeah.
And he has to like defend himself. But the first thing I wanted to talk about was this first thing he brings up, which was he says, when you were undercover at the DEA, you were. It's a very interesting phrase. You were a confused and wild thing sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I found that to be a very interesting phrase, a very interesting way to describe someone. Anyway, and then he goes on to say, had enough dirt on you to fill the Grand Canyon. Never used it because you were and are a great agent, which is a weird moral point. Is which is like you. Is it like you did a lot of bad things, but you were a good agent, so I didn't rat you out?
That's what I took it to
Okay.
mean.
All right. That's a little amoral. Um
Yeah,
uh yeah, I'm just it's just new information.
yeah.
And he says when you came beneath it to all of your colleagues, fix their hearts or die. it's
Mm-hmm.
a, it's an interesting thing. And then Denise says, "Yes, as I said many times before, Gordon, I can never repay you enough for that kindness." Um, I thought this was a very weird thing to bring up because, in a way, like I thought it was interesting that they brought it up, but it came off to me like David Lynch is patting himself on the back and saying like like I was, I don't know. Like it was very weird for him to bring up like, "Hey, back then I really had your back," and she's like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've told you so many times, thank you." And it's like, why are you bringing that up? I didn't really understand like the point he was making there. Did you catch like what he meant by that? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess I mean, I guess the idea is supposed to be that um, Denise encountered some resistance, um, from other agents or something, and Gordon Cole, like, I don't know, stepped in and you know either punished them or stop or just
Mm-hmm.
gave them a warning or something like that to stop either, I don't know, harassing him or causing him problems work, or it's not clear. I mean, they're kind of vague about it, but yeah,
Yeah.
we're supposed to believe that he was sticking up for her in those days. Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. It's just I didn't know why he was bringing that up and what point he's making. Is he like saying like you owe me or something, or like I just didn't understand why he brought that up. It's something they both know. So why is he
Oh,
saying, "Hey,
why even talk about it?
why are we talking? Like, what point are the writers making by giving us this information that hey, back in the day, Denise encountered some resistance and Gordon stood up for her? Like,
Right.
why are they telling us that?"
Right. Right.
And to me, like I said, it came off like it was almost like self-congratulatory in a
Yeah.
way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It feels a little bit. I guess like coming off that whole like you know I don't know, vaguely like insinuating sexual harassment or something like. Like,
hmm
I'm old school, like, but I'm not that bad.
Well, yeah, yeah. And what's weird is in this, on one hand, he's like, "Hey, look how I don't know forward thinking I was,
Mm-hmm.
or something." But then later, very soon after, like when Denise mentions hormones, he like
Yeah,
grimaces.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
like he's not fully evolved. Like
Yeah.
he's really only at the step of
I can't
tolerance.
handle that.
He's not
Yeah.
actually like fully accepting. It's kind of like, yeah, you do whatever
Right.
you want to do, but just don't tell me too much about it,
Right, right.
But I'll stick up for you, but only because like that's what's right, principally,
Right.
But I thought that was weird. That on one hand he's like, oh look at me, look how great I am, and then like
Mm-hmm.
two lines later, it's like, oh, but don't make me have to acknowledge the fact that you're a woman
Yeah,
now.
no details. I can't handle
Yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, so I don't know. I thought that was a strange dichotomy there.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. I agree. They do seem to be making a point, you know, in both parts. Like, I guess not irredeemably so, but yeah, like he's old fashioned,
hmm
and it felt to me like it was even a commentary on David Lynch himself.
Yeah, that's what it seemed. It seemed like it was about David Lynch.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is, it's weird to be so self-referential,
hmm
because I'm sure when they were writing this, I mean, he must be aware how this comes off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like Gordon Cole is not, I mean, he yells a lot. There's, that whole like hearing loss thing. But I think personality wise, he comes across like he's a David Lynch type person. So, I
hmm
mean, the traits that they give him, I mean, it seems like it's sort of a reflection on how David Lynch is himself. And so, yeah, it's I guess what I didn't know as far as what to think about that was, you know, what are we as the audience supposed to make of that? Am I supposed to say, I don't know, am I supposed to say, oh well, he's just old school. That's just his thing. His heart's in the right place somehow.
hmm
Or am I supposed to say, oh, now that I look at his character this way, it seems kind of, I don't know, like a little creepy and unpleasant. You know? Like, am I supposed
Yeah.
to reevaluate? Like, maybe Gordon Cole isn't as like great
hmm
of a person as he seemed to be. When I
hmm
didn't know that much about him.
Yeah, and is that intentional or is that a side effect or some other point? Is it like they really want to make this one point, but the side effect of that is saying you can reinterpret Gordon Cole's character and morality
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very interesting that you get all of that out of this scene, and then later when they kind of like objectify
Mm-hmm.
the female agent,
Yeah.
it's yeah, I'm trying to look at the line here when he's like, "I'm old school, I'm old school, Denise."
Yeah, that was the one where it was like, after watching the first two parts, and the stuff we already talked about in part three, it was weird to get that scene because it felt like it was addressing those points in a direct way.
And I thought when he said I'm old school, I thought he was saying like I'm above that.
Oh, that's not what I thought he meant. I thought he meant I'm old school like Mad Men.
Yeah, I can see that too. I definitely can see that. Um,
Like I sexual harassment is just like what you do in the workplace.
well, cause okay, so she's saying, well, I know your profile, Gordon, beautiful agent, barely 30, and he says I'm old school, Denise. So is he saying like, hey, back in the day, you always put the pretty young agents on your cases,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um, or is he saying, hey, back in the day, it doesn't matter what people look like when they were on a case.
So I assumed
You
it was
just
the
put the
first
good
thing,
people on.
but
Uh,
he does defend her that she's actually a good agent. But
because yeah, all of this is couched in yeah. He goes on this long aside that we were just talking about, but he
right,
does. So it starts with I'm old school, Denise, you know that, and then he goes on this long tangent, but he comes back to Agent Tammy Preston has the stuff.
yeah.
So I feel like he was saying it doesn't apply to me, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're right. It could go either way, definitely. But it's
Yeah,
it's 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 a weird scene, and
it's a weird scene.
yeah, um, it's weird to. I don't know. Gordon Cole she was such a he was such a purely fun character
Mm-hmm.
in the original series. It's and also in Fire Walk with Me.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like it's kind of I don't know. It's kind of unsettling to have these like morally ambiguous scenes with him.
Well, yeah, and then like the shot in his office with that big nuclear explosion in the background is like
Mm-hmm.
such a striking image. I'm like, wow, how could you get any work done with that image just like at your back? It's such a powerful image, like it
Yeah.
just like dominates the room.
Yeah.
And it's yeah, I'm like, and they're telling us that's what he has in his office.
Right.
Like what does that say about his character? Like that he wants to see that all the time, or be like you know what I mean, or like what
Yeah.
whatever attachment that might mean.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're giving us a lot about Cole, which is not something I would have expected with the show coming back.
Me either. I mean, I always saw him as like, just kind of a functional, fun, quirky character that, was played by David Lynch. So,
Mm-hmm.
like his character on Louis, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
Just like really strange and fun, but not this like not this like creepiness. you know?
Uh-huh.
It's a weird note to hit. And I guess the question I have in my mind is I don't know, am I just do they even intend that to come across that way? You know? Um
I
or, or,
have
or does it
to.
just come across that way to me because of the way I'm viewing some of this stuff?
I think it's it's really tough to tell because there seems to be a lot of evidence to suggest that how men treat women is a big theme for David Lynch. And you see it, or the relationships between the two, right? And I think you see it play out in a lot of different ways, and they do seem to it's tough. It seems like they're making a point, right? I mean, why would you show? Why would you have this setup, really, of Denise basically telling Cole that, hey, I think you just want this female agent around because she's attractive.
Yeah.
You're attracted to her, and then in the next scene, have him basically say, yeah, look how attractive she is.
Right.
With
Right.
Albert. So
Yeah.
that has to be intentional. And what point is that's making? I don't know. Because is it boys will be boys?
Right. I mean that's what I wasn't sure about. Are we supposed to just say, yeah, oh, that's just how they are, you know? It's
Mm-hmm.
like whatever.
And I think, listen, I have, we're overanalyzing everything because we're trying to analyze the show. I think a lot of people, would watch that scene and just chuckle and go, "Huh, yep." And the same thing when Gordon doesn't want to hear about the hormones. There'll
Yeah.
be people who go, "Huh, yep." You know
Right.
what I mean? Like they get his response. It's just a joke. There's
Right.
nothing really more, deeper than that.
Right.
So that's a valid interpretation, and I think most people will probably not overanalyze why Albert and Cole thought that lady was attractive,
Right. Right.
But the fact that it's,
Having that as a follow-up to this scene, I
yes, the fact that
mean,
it's connected, with these scenes, and again, we've talked about it before, the images of women on the show, and in
yeah.
other David Lynch stuff in general, and again, like that throwaway case, three of the 4 or 5 people you see in the pictures are naked, half naked women.
Right.
It's like that's not a coincidence. That you know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
saying something about something that
Yeah.
you would pick those pictures out, and you'd have Mark Frost say, "Yeah, that makes sense. Do that, David Lynch."
Mhm.
You know, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know what that's saying at all, but it could be. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it seems to be something there, and there seems to be something here with him making a point about uh Denise transitioning. So I think that it's
Right.
something else they're trying to say, which was a very forward thinking thing to do at the time in
Yeah.
1992 or whatever.
Definitely.
Um,
Definitely.
yeah.
I think like watching that stuff, it holds up surprisingly well considering how old it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, they have characters react, kind of in that way that Gordon Cole does in this scene. That kind of like, I'm kind of put off by this,
Mm-hmm.
and they play that for comedy, but um, the character is not really stereotyped in any particular way,
Mm-hmm.
and seems to be competent and kind of just, you know,
It doesn't define their entire character.
exactly
Yeah.
like serves the function in the story, and that's really just a character building detail.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like exactly every scene is just about this, you know um and the way they talk about it and the fact that Cooper accepts it, um like, okay, I didn't expect that, but I'll call you Denise now, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
you know um it, it was surprising to me, because I guess that that's become a bigger thing since then, and I guess like that's having them bring it up in this scene is one of the things that makes it feel more modern, I guess, like just addressing it openly,
Yeah.
you know
Mm-hmm.
um at like the sort of problems that might create, um
Mm-hmm.
you know in a workplace that maybe doesn't have a ton of like transgender people there,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
isn't necessarily used to that, being a thing that's like, you know. So yeah, I mean, uh, I think it's definitely an interesting aspect to the original series that is like dated in a lot of ways, but I think that's one thing they hit on that definitely was pretty forward thinking,
Mm-hmm.
surprisingly so. And I didn't even see it that way for years. It wasn't something I even really thought about that much until more recently.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, this whole thing about don't you just love sometimes saying Federal Bureau of Investigation like that all at once? Thought that was interesting. It's a mouthful.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Federal Bureau of Investigation. Yeah, it's a tough one.
Um. Anyway, so yeah, what's the end of this scene?
Uh, Gordon Cole walks out. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just saying they talk about the investigation. Uh, yeah, he says, "Please come along." Uh, is he asking Denise to come with them? I'm trying to remember the end of that scene. Huh? Yeah, I don't know. All right, you ready to go to the next part?
Uh, yeah, I was just checking out the end of the scene. I mean, I think, yeah, I think it's just like, I know you're onto something big, and you know, good luck, and it's just kind of stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I can tell. Um, okay, so then we go to the next scene. Uh, Honestly, I got really confused about the next scene, and I'm a little bit afraid of describing it, because I'm not sure I'm gonna do this right. Um, so so we go back to the sheriff's station, and Lucy's talking about like the thermostat,
Mm-hmm.
but she's
Mm-hmm.
talking on the phone,
Yep.
I guess, and and she doesn't. What am I trying to say? Like, here's the thing that confused me. So, okay, so what? Can you describe what happens here?
Sure, I can describe
Thank
what
you,
happened.
thank you.
So Lucy's on the phone. She's talking to Sheriff Truman, and she's describing some issues she's found with the thermostat about it staying on or something, or being on before she gets in, and she's worried. I don't remember exactly what the problem was there. And then Sheriff Truman walks through the door and scares her, right? Because she thought he was still up at the lake.
Right,
Apparently, she's confused about mobile phones and that they're not like landlines where if you're talking to a person and that they're at a place, they have to always be there.
right,
And this connects to a thing that I believe was in the missing pieces for Fire Walk with Me, where she's talking to the other Sheriff Truman and Andy who are in the back room, and then like Sheriff Truman comes up to the front, and it kind of startles her in this same way where she didn't expect him to be there,
oh yeah, I
and then
remember that one.
then she tries to talk to Andy who at that point has left because she screamed, and so for like 15 seconds, it seems like Andy disappeared from reality
Right,
because he's not in the back room and he hasn't made it up to the front desk yet. And it freaks her out. And then she runs in the hallway and they see each other and they freak. So it's some weird
right,
callback to that, I think, to where she's got this strange. They make a point about saying it. She's got this strange thing where she's confused about mobile phones and how they work, and it confuses her all each time, and she doesn't even know why.
right.
It seems like a Nadine type thing to me. Like this is some weird affect of being in Twin Peaks, and this is her version. Nadine got super strong or whatever happened, and I don't know. That's the only explanation I have for why she's weird about phones.
The thing it felt like to me was that they were. It was some kind of reference to how long had passed since the show was on before. It's almost like she's living in the early '90s, where like mobile phones were not a very common
Yeah,
thing. I mean, if you look in the original series, you don't see mobile phones like hardly at
yeah.
all,
I
if
think
ever.
I think that's the idea. Is like she's just not used to mobile phones being a thing.
Yeah, but
Um,
presumably they've been around for years and years, so
well,
like
yeah.
it's
It's just that
surreal in that
she
way.
she hasn't had to deal with them. Her phone hasn't changed in 25 years.
Right,
It's other people that changed. And she's fine with them as long as they're not in one place and they show up to
right,
her.
right, right. She doesn't want to see him like
Just doesn't want to
suddenly.
see him show up. Yeah.
Right, right.
Um. So they do this reveal, I guess, of Sheriff Truman's brother.
Yeah, yeah. So they had that scene early on with like which Sheriff Truman. There's
Mm-hmm.
two of them,
Mm-hmm.
which I think was a setup for. This was something I knew going in. The fact that the actor who played the original Sheriff Truman, like he's just retired from acting. He lives in Hawaii, and
Mm.
he just didn't want to be in anything anymore ever.
Yeah.
So they couldn't get him, and yeah, so they have Robert Forster, and I guess instead of literally just doing a recast and saying this is Sheriff Truman, we'll just pretend like this is the same guy. They
Mm-hmm.
decided to say he had a brother, and then they don't. And technically, the other Sheriff Truman is sort of there off screen, but he's like sick or something. They talk about him
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
Yeah, that's unfortunate that he didn't want to be in it.
it is. It is. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad. He hadn't made a movie for like 10 years, I think. But it's sort of like, yeah, if anything could bring him back, it would have been nice. He was a pretty big part of the original series.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's got that really touching part in the finale when he waits
Yeah,
up for Cooper that whole time, and
yeah.
and that whole thing with Andy, like, do you want coffee?
Mm-hmm.
You want a plate special? Yeah, you want
You want
dessert?
dessert?
You want
You want
pie?
pie?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, they build up the Cooper Harry relationship throughout the series.
Mm-hmm.
They have kind of a big moment after Josie dies, and
Yep.
yeah, it's it would be nice. They did get Robert Forster, who appeared briefly in Mulholland Drive. So
Oh yeah,
there is that.
that's nice.
Yeah, so he's technically, although he appeared in a section that had no follow up. He's just one of the cops. He's one of the two white guy cops that shows
Yep. Two white guy cops just fall on NBC.
who shows up to investigate, the thing that happened on Mulholland Drive, the car
Mm-hmm.
crash and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
And he mentions like someone's missing, you know.
Is it the
Um,
chocolate bunny?
it's not the chocolate bunny. And I think if I remember right, I think there's other scenes in the script, and like basically if it was a TV show, then we would have seen more of Robert Forster as this as
Okay.
this like detective character.
You know, depend. I'm really curious if there's any way that, like, because presumably Twin Peaks will be well received. If they're like, hey, you got any other TV show ideas? You want to make
Mm-hmm.
Mulholland Drive the TV show now on Showtime? It
Yeah,
would be really cool if this spun off into an opportunity for him to do another TV show.
definitely, definitely. There's a lot of things he could do with that, and it would
Yep.
be super cool to see. Yeah, there was this article that he was like giving up making movies,
Mm-hmm.
and the next like obvious thing seemed to be like, well, he'll make TV now, but it didn't really say that.
It didn't say that. Yep.
So, so yeah, I don't know if that's really gonna happen or not, but yeah, it would be cool.
I mean, I think the show is gonna. I'm really curious what awards it might be up for next award season. That'll really say something about how it's received, and
Yeah.
I definitely think it has to win an Emmy for best editing. Like just for that like purple place, red room, whatever
Oh yeah.
place alone. I mean, the editing in that whole sequence was so cool,
Yeah.
and unlike most things on TV, you almost
Definitely.
never have an opportunity to do that kind of editing on like regular stories.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's gonna win. It's gonna win a lot of like artistic awards. And I wouldn't be surprised if Showtime's like, hey, come do it again. Do Mulholland Drive.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Get Naomi Watts and Justin Theroux be free from leftovers.
Oh my god.
You know?
That would be so weird. It would be so weird. And then like the movie becomes like the international pilot of Twin Peaks with just
Yeah, there
like
you go.
an ending that's different, and
Uh huh.
they like restart the show from. Oh man, that would be so weird. I could see it though.
Mm hmm.
I could totally see it.
Yeah, I mean, we really wouldn't be worthy of that, but
The critical reaction has been pretty positive that I've seen so far.
mm-hmm.
I did finally find a negative review today that was like "Fire Walk, No Run Away," which I
What?
thought was a funny title.
All right.
But but yeah, I mean that was the exception. It seems like they're enjoying it, and I think the fans are mostly enjoying it. Obviously, some of them are disappointed because like there's just no
Mm-hmm.
way not to be disappointed if you're that like deeply
Yeah,
invested in something.
I saw a
It was
poll
something
that
I
was
had
like,
to like remind myself before I watched the series.
yeah, I saw a poll that was like 60% of fans love it, 20% like it,
Yeah,
and it was like less than 1% that didn't like it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think if you accept that, you know, it's not going to be like the original series,
Mm-hmm.
and like it's a new David Lynch thing, and you just kind of go with that. I think it's hard to be disappointed by it because it's not like X Files or Arrested Development where like
Mm-hmm.
there's like just not that many redeeming qualities at all. It's like
You mean of those return
the
shows?
return shows,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the original series are good. They have, I mean, X Files had its down moments, so did Arrested Development, but, overall, like, the original series were good. And then they came back many years later and just did, like, very little of value.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't like that, I would say. Like, not at all.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I'd be curious to read that negative review and see what they have to say, but they must not love perfection.
Yeah, it wasn't really detailed, but it did seem to boil down to it's not like the original series.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's one of the main criticisms I've seen, and it's like well yeah it's not. I
Mm-hmm.
mean,
And who said it should be?
I
That's your
know,
expectation.
I
Like
know. In a way, like if it was exactly like the original series, that would be a disappointment.
I think that would be a disappointment. Why give us what we already had?
Yeah, yeah. Why bother doing like a half-ass imitation of the original thing?
That's what X Files did.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's better that it's like it's expanded. It's about way more than Twin Peaks. There's all sorts of like crazy
Mm-hmm.
new ideas and new places, and
Yeah.
it's. I mean, it's a huge
Well, and that's
story.
the thing we didn't explicitly say before when we were talking when Cooper goes through the electrical socket. It seems like this is some connected version of how the inhabiting spirits travel through the electricity.
Oh
You
yeah,
know?
you're right. That whole electricity thing from Fire Walk
Yeah.
with Me. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, which they like kind of insinuate but don't exactly explain.
Mm-hmm.
Like how that works in a practical way, if you
Yeah.
can call it practical.
There was something else about windows I thought was kind of a theme. Um, and now I'm forgetting. I'm the best podcaster. I'm forgetting the examples, but I remember one was Bob comes through a window. Um, there was something else with there was two other window things that I think it was the monster and the glass um yeah, the glass box.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a third window, like a spirit going through a window thing. Um, that I can't remember. It must have been from this episode because I can't remember it. Well, when I do, I'll make a really good point.
um, yeah, there definitely could be a thing like
Oh,
that.
maybe it was Cooper. Yeah, Cooper seeing Bob in the mirror. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was one. I don't know. It had something to do with. Ah, man, sorry. Yeah, I forgot. There was, yeah, it connected. It was like made some point, but I don't remember what the point was because I forgot the other example. So yeah, that's that.
So, something I meant to mention that's like vaguely along those lines. That scene from the jail cell. I think that was in part two,
Mm-hmm.
where you pan down from Hastings and you see this figure, this like sooty, burny kind of figure, sitting there in one of the
So not
cells.
Bernie Sanders, but Boney Sooters. No, didn't work. Didn't work. I
Sure,
tried.
why not?
I tried, guys.
And,
Boney
he's just like
Suitors.
sitting there, and then like his head flies away. He disappears, and then his head flies away. It's in that order.
Yep, that
Um,
is the right order.
yeah. So, I was just gonna say, like, in a way, that reminds me of this thing that happens in Lost Highway, where it's right after Bill Pullman like has the interaction with the mystery man at the party. He says he's in his house and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and he comes home, and they kind of like they go home like pretty quickly, like maybe someone's in the house. And as they pull up, like it pans up and it shows this like crazy light flash thing
Mm-hmm.
happen upstairs.
Yeah.
um no one sees it. It's never explained at all, like what exactly that was. But nonetheless, the audience get to witness it. Anyway, that's kind of what that reminded me of. It's like, I mean, maybe they will explain it, but there's still a chance. But it was this thing where like no one else saw that.
Yeah,
It's
so it's not
only the
really an open
audience.
mystery, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like no one's gonna be investigating what that thing was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the audience that gets to like see that this thing happened.
Yeah.
And like try to guess what that's supposed to mean.
Presumably that was the mystery man leaving from having been at the house.
I guess so. I guess so. I mean, that makes sense. He was there. I believe he was
Mm-hmm.
there. But yeah, like it's just weird. Like, there's never a thing later that like when the mystery man leaves, there's a flash of light or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's never like a clear reason why that happened. So anyway,
David Lynch likes his flashlights.
he does. He's really into that. All right. So, are you ready to continue from there?
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna call him Sheriff Truman because they all do, and I think functionally he's Sheriff Truman, even though technically it's a different Sheriff Truman.
Yeah.
So he arrives and he hears about the message that Hawk got from the log lady. Something missing from the Palmer file. And then we find out that Bobby is a deputy now?
Oh man.
What?
Yep. Bad boy gone
I thought he was
good.
going to make it big in business with Ben Horn. Why didn't that work out?
Ben Horn barely made it big in
He was
business.
gonna make it big. He was gonna. They were gonna live. You know.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, it was so cool to see Bobby. I mean, he was never one of my favorite characters, but you know, he's OG. And it was cool, and I really enjoyed like once he saw Laura's picture, like he like had this weird, crazy
He just
Lynchian
totally broke
reaction,
down. Yeah.
and I thought that made sense because my question was like, he's just walking around here knowing what happened and all the crazy shit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how is he dealing with knowing all that? And clearly he repressed all that crap,
Yeah.
and he doesn't think
He
about it
just
day to
hadn't thought
day.
about
It's
it.
a thing,
Yeah.
it's a thing that happened.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I enjoyed that when he saw the picture, and it's the picture,
Yeah.
and it's the picture he kissed in the,
Yep.
when he goes up to the glass, and
Yep.
so yeah, it was, I enjoyed that moment. When he's just like, oh, gee, there's like 2 seasons worth of stuff and a movie that he remembered,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And what was it like? And he was like, "Oh, I'm fine." He's like, "Oh, what did he say?" He was like, "Brings up a couple memories or something." I'm like, "A
Yeah.
couple?"
Yeah. Yeah. They brought in the Laura's theme music from the original series as
Yeah, it
well,
was great.
just to
Yeah, that
dial
was.
up the sense of
Mm-hmm.
nostalgia, which that was
Mm-hmm.
clearly intended to convey. Um, but yeah, yeah, that's a good point. It's interesting. I do feel like the original series underplayed his reaction. Although I say his reaction, it underplayed everyone's reaction really to what happened to Laura. I always wanted more than we got.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice that it had an impact, even though in the original show it wasn't clear that Bobby was affected that much by the reveal.
Yeah. Well, I guess the last time he saw Laura was when she got the drugs that night,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah,
so, and then he just thought she was cheating on him.
yeah,
So he missed really the gravity of the situation.
yeah. Well,
Um,
early on, I mean, he knew she was murdered early on, but it's like, I mean, eventually the whole town knows what happened.
mm-hmm.
Presumably he found out, but he's just like playing with Civil War Ben and like then trying to like get Shelly to enter the Miss Twin Peaks contest,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean.
Well,
He's just
maybe
kind of
he's
like
in
fucking
denial.
around.
Maybe he's suffering on the inside because Bobby's deep.
He's definitely, yeah, deep is not the word I would use for his character. He's always got these schemes like, oh, we're gonna do this and then we're gonna make it big. We're gonna be living
Mm-hmm.
the easy
I think he's
life.
over that. Yeah, he seems like he's grown out of that, and he's a little bit more
Yeah, grounded,
grounded.
reasonable
Yeah,
adult.
his hair's turned white.
Yeah, I did. It did.
But I that reminds me when we see Leland in the what is it the second part of this series.
Mm-hmm.
His hair's not all white,
No.
and I was wondering what that meant. And I noticed in the finale of season 2, when Dale sees Leland's doppelganger,
Mm-hmm.
he says, "I didn't kill anybody,"
Right.
and I'm like, "What does that mean?"
I have no
it,
idea.
does that mean like Leland didn't kill anyone because Bob did it, or does that mean
That's one way to take it.
he didn't kill anybody because he's the doppelganger and he's not the original Leland,
That's
so he
another way
has
to
no
take it.
responsibility? Or is he saying, because I'm the doppelganger and the opposite of Leland, I didn't kill anybody?
And that's a third way to take it.
All right, I'll just give you 3 ways. Which one's the right way?
I have no idea. I've thought about that line for a long time, and I don't know what it's meant to convey. It does seem like the original series leans more in the direction of, it was Bob controlling Leland, and
Mm-hmm.
he had no power over what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Firewalk with Me doesn't really agree with that point of view, so I don't know if they changed their mind or maybe they just wanted to soften it for TV. I mean, it was on like a major network, TV show in the early '90s. I mean, maybe they thought if they really said like Leland, in some way, like,
Oh,
that
I
was an
see.
expression. You know what I mean? Like that's maybe
Mm-hmm.
that was too extreme, and so they left it out for the movie. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Because I
Um,
think the average viewer is just gonna see that and go, "Oh, Leland didn't kill anyone."
right.
They're not gonna go, "Well, he's the doppelganger, so that means the inverse."
Well, now that the doppelgangers are like a little more specified,
Mm-hmm.
um, it does seem like that is a possible reasonable interpretation. The Leland doppelganger didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll buy that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, seems true.
I guess. I mean, it seems like not having white hair Leland is like it's like original Leland. Um,
Like that's what his dead form just looks like.
yeah, and like
Not
white
the.
hair Leland was like some kind of reflection of Bob's influence. I mean, that's what they tried to say in the series.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Okay,
not
that's
really
fair.
clear exactly why or how, but and let's just bring that. This isn't relevant at all to the current series,
Oh,
but
let's talk about it.
fuck it. Just it just comes to mind in terms of. I mean, and what if we do a commentary series, we can explore this in more detail. But his hair turned white when he killed Jacques. Um, that's the moment, or the moment shortly before that
Hmm.
occurred. And, it raises the question, just like Teresa Banks, I mean, who killed Jacques? You know? Um, so if,
You mean Leland or Bob?
mm-hmm, exactly. Exactly. If it was
Just
Le-
making sure.
because it's confusing. I mean, the way they play it in the show, it's like Leland thinks that Jacques killed Laura, and that's why he kills him, right?
Yeah.
Now, Leland maybe knows that that's not true, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't. So maybe he sincerely. So I guess that's the other thing. If Leland
Yeah, that's why his
sincerely
hair
killed
turned white.
him, then it's not. Yeah, exactly. If Leland sincerely thought that he killed Laura, then maybe it's not true that he didn't kill anybody. Maybe that one's on Leland.
I think maybe his hair turned white from the incongruity of his of what he thinks to be true and what he knows to be true. He knows deep down that this guy did not kill Laura. He knows he
Right.
did it, but but because his psyche is and split in two. There's a part that doesn't that's blocked off. When he actually does kill him, it's I don't know, like his body's reaction to that of like, nope, that was wrong. Like,
Mm-hmm.
does that make any sense? Like he committed an action that was like sort of against what he knew to be true,
Right.
and so it like his body had a physical reaction because of that. For some reason I thought his hair turned white when he remembered that he killed Laura. But
Oh.
that can't. That's not true then, huh?
Well, I mean, unless he remembered he killed Laura at the same moment,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
which like you could say is true. It's not clear when that happened.
Yeah,
Um,
that's my memory of it is that that's when he remembered he killed Laura, and then that's why he's all weird after that.
it's just like in the story, that's like he kills Jacques, and then he shows up at home and his hair's white,
Yeah.
basically. For
Hmm.
some points in the other direction, there is that when like he smothers Jacques with a pillow, and they pan up to him, and you see he's got this like pained grimace on his face, and
Mm-hmm.
then I think the alarm goes off, and suddenly it's gone. Like instantly his expression changes, and it's like it's like
Mm-hmm.
he like goes into like creepy calculating, you know, Leland from Fire Walk with Me mode just for a
Yeah.
second. So there's that, and then the other thing that's a little more damning is Dr. Jacoby's in the hospital at the same time, having been attacked by Leland. I'll just point out,
Uh huh.
and he smelled burning engine oil.
Oh.
He tells Cooper and Sheriff Truman about that he smelled burning engine oil, which is 100% a Bob thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that kind of implies that Bob did it, or at least Bob was involved. But the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, why would Bob kill Jacques? You know? So it's a tough one.
Yeah, that goes to this idea. I don't remember if I talked to you about it. This idea I had about Garmonbozia. It all goes back to Garmonbozia
It
for me.
all goes back to Garbabosia, of course. Of course.
It's like the One Ring. It's like like it's the thing everybody wants. Uh, and it was making me try to think about it a different way. And I wonder if that has anything to do with it. The idea that let me remember what my theory was. Uh, that oh yeah, that Bob didn't create Garmonbozia by like torturing Laura through Leland. Um, but that he was using the Garmonbozia, the pain and sorrow, to like drive Leland to do these bad things. And so that's why at the end, when after in Fire Walk with Me, when Leland slash Bob kills Laura, and then he walks back to the Black Lodge, and then Mike and the arm are there, and Bob is there with Leland floating in the air, and Leland has that wound, and Mike says, "I want my all my Garmonbozia back." Like, he's not giving him something new that he created. He's giving him back what he stole and put into Leland. So that's what I'm thinking.
I
That's
see.
my idea, is that the pain and sorrow was stolen and like put into Leland to drive him to do these to be influenceable by Bob, I guess is a way to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And then so once he was done, so that's so Mike actually got back his actual Garmonbozia,
Right.
like not some new one that he created through like torturing
Right,
Leland.
right. That's
Um,
interesting.
yeah, and then the other part of the theory was, let's see, um, oh, it was in the other part of that scene. So when the little guy, when he eats the Garmonbozia, we then see the monkey say Judy, right?
That's a thing that happened.
That's the thing that happens. What a sentence to say. And so I was saying, I wonder if we're supposed to connect those two things. Like maybe the Garmonbozia Mike had canned was from Philip Jeffries, right? And then it got me thinking, like, what if when
Oh
Philip
my god.
Jeffries was like, I know,
I'm
sit down
scared.
for this one. It's going exactly where you don't want it to go. When Jeffries says he was in above the convenience store with those people, what if he was in the can?
Oh my god. Oh
you
my
know,
god.
when he's like, you
You
stole my
just blew my mind.
Garmonbozia, and I had it canned in like they're like, I had it trapped up there. You know what I mean? Like and it goes, and so it seems like when they go to the Black Lodge after that, Philip Jeffries goes to the Black Lodge after that.
Right.
So I was just thinking, what if Jeffries was the girl, or like that was from him, or that in some way, like when they brought him to that convenience store room or however he got there with the ring or whatever, like Mike had called dibs on him or something, you know. And anyway, so I guess my thought then went to yeah, if he canned it, if he said it was canned above the store, if that could in some way mean that, yeah, Jeffries was canned above the store, like they had him trapped there, and then they all went to the Black Lodge, and then that turned Jeffries into the monkey, like, or like, you know, the
But I
did
thought the
Bob
grandson was the monkey.
is he the monkey?
I mean, didn't they show earlier in the convenience store
They
scene?
they do show, yeah, they that is the other part, that's the of the monkey.
Is there a
They show
second
the
monkey? Is
grandson.
it the same monkey? Can
There's
the
two
monkey
monkeys.
change who it is?
there's two monkey scenes that make no monkey sense. It's bananas. Yeah, so there's the scene at the convenience store where the grandson has a little mask and he,
Yeah.
opens the mask and we see his face, and then he closes the mask, he opens again and we see the monkey's face. That time it doesn't say
Right.
Judy.
Right.
But then
At the
later,
end, it says
at the
Judy.
end, when the little arm is eating the Garmonbozia, we
Yeah.
flash to the monkey, and the
Yeah.
monkey
And
says
that's when the monkey says
Judy.
Judy.
And that's what makes me think
It's
the
weird to have
monkeys
monkey
is.
theories.
That's what makes me think that Garmonbozia is Jeffries and Jeffries is the monkey. That's how I connect those
Yeah,
two
yeah. I see
because
what
they're
you're
putting it
saying.
together.
I see what you're saying. The Judy thing has baffled me the entire time I've watched that thing because it's like what the
Of
fuck?
all the things for it to say, right?
Yeah, like
If it would have said Laura, it would have made more sense. Like
yeah.
so many other things it could have said.
This like offhand like bizarre comment that Philip Jeffries makes, during his rant, like we're not going to talk about Judy at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like okay, he doesn't say anything really about Judy.
Mm-hmm.
Judy's barely even an idea, and at the end of the movie, the monkey says Judy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, and we know, like, yeah, from Jeffrey's own story, like he came in contact with those people, right?
Yeah.
So that's what makes me think he is that Garmonbozia, or it came from him. Maybe when they took it from him, he turned into the monkey. Something like that.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I can't believe that's like a legitimate theory.
Right? Isn't it weird that makes any kind of sense?
It sounds so ridiculous, but I can't say that like, well, that's impossible.
Yeah, that's the problem.
There's no way to rule that out. I mean, the fact that he says Judy is weird. I mean, the Judy thing is like, I don't know. Like, I always took it as there was some storyline there because I know the original plan was that they were going to have two movies. There was going to be the Fire Walk with Me, the movie we got with the story of Laura and also the Teresa Banks investigation.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was going to be a second movie which was going to follow up. It was going to be like a consolation prize instead of season 3. They would follow up from the series.
Mm-hmm.
And basically those scenes from Fire Walk with Me that they eventually cut, would have been leading into that stuff. Setting up the Ring, for example, the Ring and Annie and the nurse and stuff.
I see. Okay.
Like that would have set that up. And I guess I always thought Judy was gonna play a role. And I remember reading that Judy was supposed to be Josie's sister at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that's still true or not, but or if they're even gonna talk about Judy in the new series.
Yeah, that would have made sense because that's what Fire Walk with Me goes back to. It's a prequel for the original story, and it talks about a previous investigation. So the next movie following that same pattern would have made sense. Like following another previous investigation. Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I guess with all the Philip Jeffries talk, now you've got me wondering if we're going to hear about Judy and if we're going to see the monkey again.
Yeah,
Because, they could get a monkey.
Yeah, monkeys are dying to work in Hollywood. It's easy to get a monkey. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, if the monkey is Philip Jeffries, a weird sentence. Sorry.
God.
Oh, what show are we watching? If the monkey's Philip Jeffries, then that would explain the shot of in the convenience store, like when they show the monkey, like that's his representation of being in that room or something,
Right. That's a good point.
Because they say he was there, but we never see him.
They do say that, and it's weird that we never see him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Uh,
And it kind of being with the grandson. The grandson also was kind of Laura's guide. Remember from the picture?
right?
You know, she goes into the Fire Walk with Me. She goes to the picture, and then she's the grandmother, and then he's the one who like kind of goes to the Black Lodge after that, the Red Room
Oh
after
yeah,
that.
and he also whispers to her, "The man behind the mask is in found the hiding place." Like he basically tells
Yep.
her that Bob found the diary. Like Bob
Yep.
is going for the diary.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. So just thought I'd throw that out there that Jeffries could be the Garmonbozia
Jeffries is
that
the government Bosia and the monkey.
in the monkey. Yeah.
Oh
And that
man,
and if Jeffries got his Garmonbozia back, then maybe he would be human again. I don't
right?
know. I don't know how it works, but yeah, it also reminded me in terms of where they'd be. How could he be a monkey like Bob? You know, like when Bob took Wyndham Earl's soul.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe something else happened like that to Jeffries, and now he's a
Right,
monkey. You know.
right. It doesn't stop sounding ridiculous. And now he's a
Um,
monkey.
but now he's a monkey. It just Well, what's great too is like they could if he is the monkey, then they could actually have more scenes with him because he could
Yeah.
just be the monkey
Well,
and they could just dub.
That's what I was saying. Like that
Yeah,
does
yeah,
open
that's
up
right.
possibilities.
Yeah, and he just is talking as the monkey.
Yeah. It's like the arm tree, you know. Like they don't have to have
Hmm.
the actor because they can show the arm tree. It's great. It's great.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
that's
love how the arm tree doesn't have any arms.
well, it's got branches. That's sort of like arms.
Yeah, but they're not arms.
Fair enough.
Um, and the other thing I noticed about the arm is they don't capitalize the name like they did in Fire Walk with Me. Did you
Oh, they
notice that?
didn't. No, I didn't
No.
notice.
Yeah, he just says the arm lowercase.
Lowercase. Okay,
Thought that was interesting.
that is interesting. I'm surprised they didn't capitalize it.
Okay, where are we on this thing?
So the last thing in the scene is Bobby remembers that Cooper went to see Major Briggs, his father,
Mm-hmm.
Bobby's father. For those of you following along, um, the day before he died. That is Major Briggs. The day before Major Briggs died, and right before Cooper disappeared.
Wow, when was that? They won't tell us.
So, I mean, it was shortly, I believe. So this is something that's in the book also, and I believe it was shortly after Cooper comes out of the Black Lodge.
Okay.
So that would be within a few days of the end of the series, because he mentions how long it is, and I don't remember, but it isn't long.
Okay.
He says he's going to meet with Cooper. It's really the yeah. That's a thing that happens.
And what? So Bobby doesn't know what they talked about. Does the book say what they talked about?
Nope.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so I don't know how we're gonna find out, unless evil Cooper talks about it because that was evil Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that would be the way if we're ever gonna find out what it was. But yeah, he died the next day. Did evil Cooper kill him? What were the circumstances there? That's clearly a thing. I know that Major Briggs was supposed to play a bigger role in season 3, and so it seems like they're trying to incorporate some aspect of that into this.
Mm-hmm.
The Blue Rose thing, the head floating, and now this
Yep.
idea that evil Cooper came to meet him, and maybe he realized it was evil Cooper, or he realized there was something wrong with
Mm-hmm.
Cooper. Although
And Cooper killed him or something.
and Cooper killed him. Yeah, like that seems like the most obvious conclusion. There might be something else
Didn't
there.
didn't they say how he died though?
Yeah, and a fire. I think there was a fire at the base where he worked. I think that's what he said.
Okay.
Um, should I double check?
Yeah, died in a fire at his station. Yep.
Station.
Yep.
There you go. Station.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, you know what a fire is. It's a,
Um.
it's a gateway to the Black Lodge.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Firewalk with me,
Firewalk with me.
Bob. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it seems like that could be, that could be a clue that Evil Cooper did it. Though there could be other explanations, depending on which direction they want to go. There's
That is true.
like I don't really know what the story is. Like that's the most obvious thing, but who knows? Who knows what they're gonna say, or what happened, or whatever. I was thinking before the show started that like maybe a way of picking up the Major Briggs plot would be to get Bobby involved.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I think Bobby needs to be redeemed.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool if he got some kind of important arc here to do something,
Yeah.
to help out.
Yeah. It was. Yeah. It seems like there's potential for that. Definitely. If he's working at the sheriff's station, and
Yeah, if he's working at the sheriff's station, they must trust him.
yeah. Presumably, he's proved himself trustworthy in the meantime between this and the series.
Does Leo die at the end of the season 2?
They leave Leo with he's like Wyndham Earl hooked him up to that spider trap. And I think the last we see Leo, I think there's a scene with Bobby and Shelly where I think Bobby says something like, I think Shelly's like, they still haven't found Leo or whatever, and Bobby's like, I bet Leo's having the time of his life.
Oh, that little flash when they
Yeah.
flash to him holding the bomb or whatever with his teeth.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the last time we see him.
that's the last time we see Leo.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess at this point they would know if he's alive or dead, because if the bomb goes off, then they would have found his body.
Right, but no, it's
but
not
yeah,
a
I'm
bomb.
just.
It's a box of tarantulas.
Oh, I thought it's not a bomb.
It's not a bomb.
Oh,
It's just a box of tarantulas tied to his teeth.
oh, so that's not as bad.
Yeah. I mean, supposedly they're deadly or something.
Ah, okay.
I mean, it's
So they're
intended
like-
to be a trap. I mean, it's intended to like, he let Major Briggs go.
It's effectively death.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm assuming they're gonna say Leo's dead, though that doesn't mean we won't see him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just curious who else might show up.
Right.
Because Leo. What about Mike?
Mike might show up.
Yeah, the Bobby's friend Mike, not the interesting Mike.
Mike Nelson, not Mike the Black Lodge Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he showed up. I know that guy's still around. He was on 6 Feet Under. That was a while ago, but
Yeah.
it was more recent.
You're like,
than 2 weeks.
I know he's still around. He was working 15 years ago.
No, I think I've seen him in something else since then. I just can't
The
remember what it
Wire.
was. He was in The Wire?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
To give it another show that's been off for a
Oh,
while.
you're talking about old shows. Yeah, of course.
Gunsmoke.
God.
My, how far TV has come.
It's true. It's true.
Yet it still always just comes down to, the white hat cowboys and the black hat cowboys.
Yep.
Okay, what else? What else we got?
So you ready to go next thing?
Yeah.
So
let me see. Am I ready? Forgot. For a second I thought the other police officer walks in the door at the end. I thought he was the guy from New York who was the box watcher.
Oh yeah, it kind of looked like him. Yeah.
I was really confused for a half second. I was like, "What? This guy's here now?"
Yeah. I think it's just a different guy with the same haircut.
It's a different guy, yeah. With it just
all these
looks
white
a little
people,
similar.
it's like...
It's once you see 100, it's really tough to keep track. The 101st, you're like, wait a
I had
minute.
the same thought though. I was like, is that? Could that be that guy? That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have a twin brother? Bad twin?
I
Doppelganger?
know, doppelganger.
How
It's
far could this
always
go?
to the depths of our imagination and back again.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to the Michael Cera scene.
All right, so the next scene's the Michael Cera scene. He's playing Wally Brando, Lucy and Andy's son.
Why is he named Brando?
Because he was born on Marlon Brando's birthday.
But it was weird because they're like he wanted to name him Marlon, but they just said they just named him Brando instead.
Well, his middle name's Brando. I guess
They were like we didn't want to go all the way.
It's a compromise. Yeah. I guess.
Oh man. Okay.
I guess. I think this scene, I didn't really catch this, but I was reading some stuff about this, and I think this scene is like partially referencing The Godfather.
Okay.
Like the first scene in The Godfather when like everyone's coming in and paying their respects to the Godfather on the day of his daughter's wedding.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that, but is there a point?
I don't think there's a point. What could there be a point? I don't get a point. I don't have a point.
Like is Wally doing that in a meta way, or is the scene doing that? If you know what I mean. Yeah,
that's a good question. Yeah, I don't know which one it is.
It seems like he's the one who's making it that.
Right.
By how he is and what he's saying.
Yeah, this recap calls him a lugubrious biker.
Wow, well that's a word. That's a mouthful.
Which is yeah. He's sort of like a droll version of James.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if
droll
James
and glib.
We're glib, yeah, not so earnest.
Yeah.
And forthright, but like
yeah, I can't tell if his tongue is in his cheek or not. You know, I can't tell if when the scene is over, does he laugh and go, "Oh man, I can't believe how crazy I was just being."
Right.
Or
that's
is
really
he?
How he is.
Or is this really how he is?
Yeah.
And when you cast Michael Cera, who's great at that fine line, you know, it's and plays characters like this.
Yeah.
It's tough to tell.
It is. Yeah. I don't know what
because he's never not smirking, you know.
Right.
He just has a smirk face.
It's because he's Canadian.
He's always. Well, that's true. Not all Canadians have smirk face, but I think it is the reason he has it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm taking it at face value that that's just how he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree that he plays the character in an insincere way. So I don't know what to make of that. It's weird. It's weird that he's nothing like Lucy and Andy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's weird. Yeah.
Like, it made me think, like, could they be trying to say that, like, he isn't really like Dick Tremaine either, but I feel like he's more like Dick Tremaine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, than he is like either one of them. Like, could they be saying Dick Tremaine was indeed the father? I don't know. Are they going to go that far? Do they even give a shit? Are we going to see Dick Tremaine?
I thought for some second, I don't remember what made me think this, that maybe Sheriff Truman was the dad.
Oh, God. What?
Just like I had a theory. I don't know why. I don't remember what made me think that.
Oh, my God. That's not possible. That's a scandal. Talk about smearing characters.
This is
Holy
scandal.
shit. Holy shit.
It's not true. It's not true. Don't believe what you read in the papers. But yeah, you're right. It's a good point about the other dude. I forgot about him. I do think it's weird that he doesn't seem anything like them. Is this a guy pretending to be their son and they're in on it? And they're like, "Hey, we'll pretend that he's always away and we'll pay an actor to come and pretend to be him."
There is something really artificial. It's this scene is totally bizarre.
The way they're both like, they both have their hand on his shoulder the whole time.
Yeah.
It's almost like he's like a marionette, like he's a
Mm-hmm.
puppet. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know it. I don't know why this scene has any depth more than it just has on its surface. Like it should just be a normal scene,
Right.
and yet I can't tell what's happening.
I know, I know. It seems like a scene where we meet Lucy and Andy's like,
Mm-hmm.
son. Like
Mm-hmm.
should just I mean,
Yeah.
shouldn't it be a
Why is there
straightforward
more?
scene?
Why is there more pomp and circumstance than that? Like
Yeah.
why is it an homage to The Godfather?
I know. I know. That's
Because
so
because
weird.
the God because it's almost like saying 'cause- it's weird, right? Because if like this new character's coming in, doing this homage to The Godfather, I mean, who's like, he's the character paying respects to the titular character, yet he's the one doing all the work. The scene's really about him, right? The scene's
Right.
really about Michael Cera, not The Godfather. So it's weird
Right.
to like to do an homage where the focus is on the other character. Yeah,
That
it's
is
really
how it is
weird.
in the original scene in The Godfather. Like
Yeah, yeah,
the guy
yeah.
coming in does most of the talking. The Godfather doesn't speak very much.
Yeah, but it's interesting to make that's the scene they chose to the version they chose to do that
Right.
with versus like another monologue where it's about that person or like the Godfather himself has monologues that's about him where
Right.
he does all the work.
Right.
Um,
Right.
so yeah, it's interesting. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know how to take it. I won't know how to take it until we see him again.
Right. If we see him again,
Yeah, if we see him
I
again.
I guess like it's so clearly like a Z plot that I could see that we don't see him again, and like this is just their way of showing Andy and Lucy have a son, and there he is, and he gets his moment, and then we can move
Mm-hmm.
on, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe he'll come back. I really don't know. I really don't know what to expect exactly,
Yeah.
but yeah,
He seemed to
it's.
want to impress the sheriff for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know why.
I have no idea why.
I think that's why I thought maybe he thought Sheriff Truman was his dad, the other Sheriff Truman who's sick or
Oh
something.
God! Oh God! It's just like first Gordon Cole, and now you're gonna ruin Sheriff Truman too.
Oh man.
Like he's like hitting on his like
Hey, he
receptionist.
was sleeping with the married woman. He was sleeping with Josie.
Yeah, well, I mean, her husband was quote unquote dead for some time
All right. It was
before
still
he.
tawdry.
Of course, it was Tawdry, but I mean, he wasn't openly. He didn't know Andrew was still
Yeah, no,
alive.
he was. I don't want to misrepresent his character. Yes, he wasn't an adulterer,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Unlike many characters in the
unlike
show.
the other characters in the show. There's plenty enough where that came
Almost
from.
all of them. Yeah, I
Uh,
mean it was secret, and obviously there was a lot of weirdness going on, but it seemed like he had like purely honorable intentions with that relationship, and he was betrayed in the end
he was.
because Josie had a lot of stuff going on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, speaking of Lewis and Clark,
Oh
we were
yeah,
talking about that before. That Lewis and Clark had the ring, or Lewis had the ring at
yeah,
some
yeah,
point.
yeah. That was a book reference too, or sort of a book.
Yeah,
The idea that they were the first Caucasians to
Caucasians.
explore that
Yes.
area, because that's just how you say it, right, Michael Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Caucasians.
Um, yeah, I thought that was interesting that they talked about that.
It was, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think he's the original one. Lewis is the original one with the ring, and then like they insinuate that he was killed because of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Well, and that he got it from like a Native American
yeah,
person.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. Yeah, when they're exploring, and then yeah, basically like the ring gets passed around, like the thing we were talking about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from character to character. I don't think Fire Walk with Me conveyed that exactly, but but yeah, it's
It could
interesting
be
if they
that the
talk about
function
that.
changed, and that it changed when he said, with this ring I thee wed, like they changed it, like they gave it something
Mm-hmm.
extra to do for a little bit, like it doesn't always do that thing.
Could be.
Because if the book references are supposed to be canon, then there's a ton of people who had the ring that didn't get killed. So
Yeah,
it could be
it's true.
that the ring had some other power or value, and that allowed it to be, symbolic of this whole thing that Bob ends up doing.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait for the next scene.
So you you ready to move on from Michael Sarah?
Yes, always.
All right. Always. Ouch. Don't tell his agent that. Uh,
I won't.
so the next scene, we go back to Cooper in the house with Naomi Watts. I mean, she's not there, but anyway, he's in his bedroom, and he gets a vision from Mike communicating with him, um, telling him, "You were tricked, and now one of you must die." Um, so uh, I guess that wasn't true before. You know, again, it goes back to these rules. So I guess like before, it was like if you switch places, you know, if the old Cooper comes back while you go there,
Mm-hmm.
you know, then you can both continue after that. But because of this like extra Cooper, now there's two Coopers at the same time, and that can't be allowed. I guess that's the idea.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's weird. I don't know why I think anything's changed. I mean, like Dougie's gone. Like, so why has the situation really changed? Aren't we back to just there being two Coopers and one needs to go back in? And I mean, I guess is it because Cooper's out now that you can't fix it by just having evil
That's what
Cooper
I
going in?
assumed. But I mean, he
But
doesn't say,
he
so
doesn't say one of you have to come back, right?
yeah,
He's like one
yeah.
of you have to
One have to
die.
die now. So it's like it's changed. Which feeds into thinking like the evil Cooper should want to kill the good Cooper.
Yeah. Well, that will certainly create conflict for our two main characters.
Indeed.
um, they have to kill each other. Um, what's that fight gonna look like? Jeez.
I don't know.
So yeah, this whole thing, you were tricked. Wow, wow. And again, another way we were seeing the red room get used. The way Mike communicates, he like sort of finds him through space.
Right.
And can like communicate through, and he doesn't have to like be in the real world. He can just like merge the two,
Yeah.
um which I find super interesting.
Oh, now this is
uh
bothering me. Who tricked him?
that well, yeah, that's the question I'm asking. I was just gonna say that, like, that's the operative question, is like, who, and is it the same who that
Thanks for the passive
manufactured?
voice, Mike. You were tricked. Who
Mm-hmm.
who tricked him? Do you know? Do you have any idea? Like, is it Evil Cooper? Is it American Girl? Is it, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Is it the other woman and her mother?
Mm-hmm.
Is it? I mean, is it somebody else?
Mm-hmm. Those are all good questions.
Who tricked him?
Yeah, is it the same person who manufactured Dougie?
Right, right. I mean, who's
Is
that
that the
person?
trick?
I think that's the trick. It seems clear to me that that's the trick. I just don't know who's responsible and why.
Or, but are you sure the trick wasn't like the way he entered the world, like going through the electrical socket? Like
I
maybe that was the trick. Maybe he wasn't supposed to ever, maybe everything from the tree doppelganger on was the trick. Like that wasn't the plan for you to like leave that
Oh, yeah, yeah,
way.
yeah. No, that's totally valid. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Throw in the arm tree uh being part of the trick. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, at what stage did the trick start?
Mhm.
I do feel like the Dougie thing is part of the trick.
Mhm.
But yeah, like who exactly are we supposed to hold responsible for this?
Yeah.
Not clear.
And it doesn't seem like it's Bob. I mean, Evil Cooper, right? I mean, from what we've seen, he's not actively doing anything to thwart Cooper.
Well, so what I would
And
say is
concurrently, I mean,
if he made Dougie and if the doppelgangers are all sort of on the same side in some sense in terms of being with Bob, then maybe the doppelganger arm tree is sending him on this journey. You know what I mean? Uh, maybe that was part of his plan in some sense, even though he wasn't there himself.
say that again.
Just the idea that the doppelgangers
Uh
are
huh.
all on the same side, like I
Mhm.
mean, we do see, the idea that they're all on Bob's side, basically.
Yeah.
They're controlled by Bob, perhaps created by Bob. So if it's true that Evil Cooper slash Bob like created Dougie, I think it's also possible that the Arm Tree doppelganger, when it sent Cooper, like it knew that Cooper would end up,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, going where he went. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's playing into Evil Cooper's plans.
Yeah. I'm trying to. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough. I'm trying to assume that the doppelgangers, well, that Evil Cooper doesn't know everything that's happening. Um, like he doesn't have some huge big plan like that in terms of like Mike and these other beings seem to like know this extra information. Like I'm
Right.
thinking like once he left, he doesn't necessarily have all that information anymore or something like that. You know.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like somebody else created Dougie, but he's the likely suspect at this point. Um, but I need I need to know what the coordinates are, and then I think I'll piece together what I really think about this guy. Like, what's this thing he's trying to get? Because I think it'll because he had that whole line about I don't need anything, I want
Right.
and
Right.
all this stuff, and so I'm curious like, well, what's the thing that he seems to need because he's trying to get it.
Right.
And if that's like something that like is well, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think that'll tell us like how much he's really planned and what's he really capable of, depending on what that information is.
Right.
But yeah, you were tricked. I don't know what to do with that. And why won't they tell him more? Like,
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the problem is it's not clear he even understands what any of that means.
mm-hmm.
Because it's not clear that he understands anything people tell him. It's he just he could repeat those words later, but it's what I mean.
Yeah,
It seems like it's sort of lost on him. And does Mike realize
and
that?
he shows him the gold bead
Yeah,
as if like that's supposed to explain it to him.
that's supposed to mean something. Yeah, yeah, You were tricked by this gold bead that was used to make Dougie, I guess. Maybe.
Or is what's left of him?
Or is what's left of him. Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I guess, yeah. Well, it's clearly what's left of him, but like, was it there before? Is that, I
Is
don't
that how
know.
you make people?
Yeah.
You take that and a demon face and mix it.
Do you need the ring too? Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Did that play a role? You know, was it essential that he had the ring? Like,
Yeah, was he surprised to see the ring? Did he expect it to be gone? Does he care at
yeah.
all?
He didn't seem that concerned about the ring.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, well, I'll put it back now. I don't know. I don't know. Mike's a weird character.
Yeah.
Cause like now one of you must die. It's like why? You know, I mean, who made these rules? It's starting to get a little like lost. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like here's the way things must be, and it's like who says so? Why? I mean, why? What if neither of us dies?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do? What's gonna happen?
Yeah, I mean, jeez. Guess we'll find out.
I guess. All right, so you ready to go on here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we go down. We meet Dougie's son, and go down for some breakfast. Um, and it's kind of an extended sequence. And yeah, I guess the big end point here was Cooper finally has coffee for the first time in a long time, presumably. I mean, maybe he had some of that Black Lodge coffee, but I don't think
I don't think it worked out that way.
I don't think
Yeah.
it's the same.
I did you. That's a weird scene too, because when he picks up the coffee, the little guy is rubbing his hands, and there's some weird sounds. Did you take that
Yeah,
to mean that he was making the coffee sort of change states? Because it goes
that's
from
how
like
it seemed.
liquid to frozen to like
The
gelatinous.
oil, the yeah, the like
Um,
viscous, oily kind of
yeah,
thing.
but
I
what was
did.
why?
Why I don't know.
Was it like a fun trick, or was he proving a point about like the reality, or like was it unrelated? Is that when he says "Wow, Bob,
That
wow"?
is when he says "wow, Bob, wow."
And then I thought, is Bob doing it?
It
And
could be
like,
that I have thought also that maybe Bob was doing it. Yeah,
yeah, like it was it because otherwise, "Wow, Bob, wow" makes no sense. It
I
comes out of
agree.
nowhere and connects to
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Yeah, and I don't know if his hands. Speaking of the hands and sounds, another thing I thought that is maybe happening sort of metaphorically. A lot of times we see these characters in the red room say their name or who they are and what they sound like, or they
Mm-hmm.
or like when we first see Laura in there, she like snaps her fingers,
Yeah.
and like I think Mike does something too. Uh, well, there's one point where the arm like does a thing with his foot when he talks about somebody. I
Oh yeah,
forgot.
yeah.
But anyway, I thought maybe since we were talking before about particularly in Fire Walk with Me when the arm says I'm the arm and I sound like this and he makes that Indian whooping sound.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that sound in like the trailer park, through the electrical lines and stuff like that, and we see it in the TV.
Right.
So it seems to suggest that is perhaps, I think that was what I was saying before. Maybe that's how they identify in the electromagnetic spectrum or something. Like
Mm-hmm.
they are just energy, and this is what their energy sounds like when it's in electromagnetic form or something.
Right.
Um, and so anyway, I thought maybe that's what was happening. So when Laura comes down and snaps like that, she's like, "This is what I sound like," So maybe that's what they're doing. They're sort of giving their, sort of like universal name or something like that.
Right. Right.
But yeah, anyway, something randomly I thought about
Yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
this sound that sound is a big part of this show.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's huge.
what things sound like,
I
and
noticed that David Lynch took a sound design credit.
I see he's doing the sound design. So yeah, I saw that too.
So that's clearly something he's paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot of credits. He's not taking all of
Yep.
them. All right. So,
So yeah, I think Cooper. I really hope Cooper's back, but it seems like there's some more story here with him being like Dougie, like
yeah,
the absent-minded dad or something, and
right.
reconnecting with family and
Yeah,
um.
yeah, yeah. I feel like I don't know how long it's gonna take. I mean, I certainly think it can't be too much longer before we get back to Cooper, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it does seem like they want to draw this out a bit. Um, but at a certain point, I mean, how many scenes can we watch where like people do stuff for Dougie and he repeats things they say? You know, I mean, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
Being There is a good movie, but you know, at a certain
You're like, but we
point,
went there already.
yeah, at a certain point, it's over, and you want to move on to something else.
Sometimes after you're being there, you're being gone. You know.
Exactly.
I am Dougie's Coffee. Reminded me of Fight Club.
Oh yeah, I am Dougie's Coffee. You're right.
I also thought it was interesting that he's wearing this lime green jacket and his kid is drinking out of a lime green cup.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
And I just at first I thought that was an interesting choice that he has a lime green jacket, since
Yeah.
it's this whole thing about the jacket not fitting, and
Right.
then like she picks up like a green apple or something, and which is a
Mm-hmm.
similar color, and then in the background there's like a kitchen utensil that has the same lime green.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just want to let whoever is the set designer know I noticed the job they're doing.
the consistent color scheme kind of choice.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like yeah, exactly. Like these are people who have this color in their life,
Right. It's
like
just very lime green
yeah, their plates are yellow. They've got like a
based.
yellow blender. Like,
Mm-hmm.
somebody had to think of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's definitely a distinct look they're going for there
Hmm.
for this character.
Yeah, I was curious if like Dougie's son was gonna notice that's not his dad, because kids always know these things, right? When adults don't know, you know what I mean?
Wait, wait, what?
I said,
Sorry, sorry.
I said, I wonder if Dougie's son is gonna realize that that's not his dad. That
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I hope so. I mean, I'm wondering how long it's gonna take, like anyone to notice, like he's completely not there at all.
Hmm.
You know?
I think people have given the benefit of the doubt that he lost weight and has a haircut immediately. Like, I don't think that'll chip them up. It seems like
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. They just like, oh, I didn't notice you lost weight because I
Right.
don't pay that much attention to you.
Right. Right. It's a good point.
Yeah, so I don't know what else is gonna, do it unless he just remembers who he is.
Right. Right.
But what I was just thinking is, what if he's just Dougie for the rest of the show?
No. No. Oh, don't do that to
What
us.
if he's just like, what if he's just like, okay, yeah, I know about this Cooper guy, and that's who I used to be, but I'm Dougie now. I have Dougie's memories.
Oh my god.
Just wanted to
No.
bring that out there. I mean,
No.
that shouldn't happen, but
No. Not Dougie. I don't want Dougie. God damn it, no. No. A little Dougie goes a long way.
mm-hmm.
I don't need any more.
Yeah, I agree. All right, you want to go to the next part?
Yeah, so right, so we go back to South Dakota, rejoin Gordon Cole and Albert and Tammy Preston, And we get to hear Evil Cooper's story, I guess. Um, his voice is weird
Right?
in this scene.
He decides to be evil Cooper in this scene. Yeah, like if you wanted if he wanted to convince them he was the good Dale, he did the opposite. Like he was the most straight. He was the strangest he's been, I think. And he started out strange.
Like
Yeah,
the
his
only thing he
voice.
did that was like sort of Cooperish was the thumbs up.
Yeah, yeah, but like yeah, his mannerism was different. I felt like
Totally
than he had been
different.
before, and like
Yeah.
his voice was totally different,
It was
and
deep.
it was deeper. It was what you think he should have been sounding like the whole time. Even
Yeah.
even how he spoke was different, you know.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand why he is this because is he different because he threw up all the stuff? You know, is that why he's different now? Or is he different because he's locked up? Or is he different because he's
Oh,
talking to Cole?
that's interesting. That's interesting. Um, so he claims he was undercover with Philip Jeffries.
Oh yeah, he did say that. Wow.
Does that help?
No, it makes it everything worse.
Like he was doing that this whole time, and he was just about to come tell them everything.
I love that, and I love it how he repeats it twice, like robotically. He repeats the exact same lie twice.
Yeah,
That was so weird. And I
yeah.
was just he reminded me of Hal from 2001. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
Dave. I was going to tell you, Dave. I promise I wasn't going to kill you all,
I
Dave.
know, I
I was
know.
just about to open the pod bay doors, Dave.
It's like the more you talk, it's getting worse.
Uh
Shut up,
huh.
Hal.
Yeah. The more you convince me I have nothing to fear, the more I fear.
This is creepy.
I really
Yeah.
miss spending time together. That's the line that made me think of Hal for sure.
Oh yeah.
Dave, sing me a song, Dave. Daisy.
Oh God.
Yikes. Yeah, that gets crazy.
God.
Um, I haven't seen you in a long time. Yeah, this whole conversation. I mean, I guess we should talk about this, huh? Some important things in here.
Oh God. Probably so.
So, I guess the first question is: do you think he's telling the truth that he's been working with Philip Jeffries this entire time?
Well, it seems like the scene we saw indicates that he was working with Philip
Mm-hmm.
Jeffries at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there is some truth to it. Now, obviously, it's a lie that he was working undercover with Philip Jeffries and he was going to go like report to Gordon, and I mean that all seems like lies to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it seems like that part of it's true. Oh, okay. Sorry, I forgot a thing. Can I just mention a quick thing?
Mention a thing.
So I guess they got Prince off of Evil Cooper.
Mm.
Is that what happened?
Did they? Who said that? How do you know that's true? I don't remember that happening.
So there's a scene where so it's right after Cooper spits out the coffee. Is that when it happens? I think so. Um, where they cut to the Buckhorn police like department,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, yeah. Okay, that's right. I remember
and
that.
they say they found prints on the John Doe. I
Yeah,
assume
but
the John Doe is Evil Cooper.
they found the prints in the John
Oh, not
Doe.
no, 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 not it's not, is it? It's the body. It must be the body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the John Doe.
the body from the from Ruth's apartment,
Uh huh.
and it was military classified stuff.
Yeah.
Does that could that be Major Briggs?
Well, I
Does
mean,
that
at
make
this
any
point,
sense?
that's the only thing I can think of. Like, why would?
So he died in a fire, but they never found the body, and maybe he didn't really die in a fire.
Yeah,
Is that
maybe
what
he can.
happened?
Maybe he convinced. Maybe Evil Cooper convinced Briggs of some big plot, and he's like, "Well, you're gonna have to pretend you're dead in order to come with us to do this thing or something." And so he's been working with Briggs and Jeffries and Cooper and all working together. Is that what you're saying?
Uh, I guess I was assuming like he killed Briggs like a long time ago, but it might be true what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it can't be that long ago. If the body's just there now and not,
Oh,
more
was the
decayed.
decomposition not sufficient for 25 years?
I think in 25 years it'd be more skeleton than it
Okay.
did seem more recent than
He
that. I
didn't
feel like
have
they would have.
clothes on,
I feel like they
so
would have said something like that, like this body that was killed 20 years ago. Yeah, so I think,
good point. Good point.
yeah, if it is Briggs, I think it was more
It's
of a recent
recent.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe was he working with Evil Cooper unknowingly? Is Evil Cooper the good guy? Like what's going on?
Why would he be the good guy?
Well, there's no reason except that I don't imagine Major Briggs joining the Evil Cooper
Well,
club
he doesn't know he's Evil
knowingly.
Cooper. He doesn't know he's Evil Cooper. He
Yeah.
just knows he's a Cooper
But
who
then what did
maybe
he
has
tell
a
him? What
plan.
were they doing? And
Well, that
why?
sounds like fodder for a Mark Frost book.
You're so right. You're so right. Oh
That sounds
yeah,
like something he should write in a book.
and I forgot to mention one more thing. Uh, Vomits in the lab. So who knows if they're gonna like give some sciency
Right,
explanation of the
right.
Garnabosia. Then we get that he had cocaine, a giant machine gun, and a dog's leg in the car.
Wow. Yeah, the
So
dog's leg had me.
make of that what you will. I don't understand. I mean, I guess gun. Maybe that's practical. Cocaine because he's a bad boy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I have no idea why he would have a
So there's a
dog's
dog out
leg.
there missing a leg?
I guess.
And it made me think, of course, of the arm.
Oh yeah.
Like, what would this body part be in the Black Lodge?
Oh God.
Exactly.
Oh
Did you say
God.
God or did you say dog?
Oh God. No. No. Oh man.
It's all a matter of perspective,
It's
isn't it?
terrible. It's terrible. Yes, it is, Dave.
um, yeah. So I hope something comes back from the vomit. That'd be great. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
like
mostly cream corn.
some weird lab analysis. Like, I mean,
Hmm.
cream corn shouldn't be poisonous, right? It's got to be cream corn
Yeah,
with
there
some
was
kind of
something else that was toxic, for
yeah.
sure.
It's got to be some kind of extra thing. But can they understand it, or are they just gonna say like, our lab can't determine, X Files
Hmm.
style, the lab's
Well,
never seen
kind of
anything
like
like
this.
this. It's not on the periodic table.
Yeah, it's got elements from like space or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah, so the fact that the body is classified Major Briggs seems like a likely suspect. And if they do say he was killed recently, if it was actually recent, then it would make that little floating head of his in space a little more reasonable if like he had just died or something,
Yeah, that's true.
and he's
That's
like
true.
floating through
It's not just coming out of nowhere.
to the afterlife or something.
Right, right.
Um, so that's
Netherworld.
yeah, so that's interesting. They do say that also, don't they say all souls go through the Black Lodge?
That is said in the series, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
so
have to pass through there first.
mhm. Which that doesn't seem true to me though. Now, now that the world is so much bigger than the Black Lodge,
Right.
it seems like that can't be true.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Like
mean, I think
maybe
you
the
could
ones
chalk
who,
it up to an interpretation.
yeah, the ones who die in the area, maybe or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
It
but
was
yeah,
supposed to
it's.
be a local thing. And, you know, we have seen a few dead people from the area there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I agree. The idea that they all go through there, it seems a little excessive.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, I mean, what about this Evil Cooper scene? I mean, I guess he was working with Philip Jeffries, but to do what?
Right, right, right. It's sort of like, I mean, you know, yeah. What are the specifics? Maybe that would help sell the story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know,
He
what
was
were you
just gonna
doing?
come and tell him.
I know. Well, tell me now.
Mm-hmm. Well, he wants to be debriefed by him, but it's gotta be in private.
Right, right. So I guess maybe we'll still get that scene.
So he said something about he left messages so that Philip knows it's safe.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. Just for the record.
Like is Philip, maybe Philip is gonna show up to Beulah's house or something and get a message? I did say before that Ray and Daria did leave pieces of paper with that guy at the house. Maybe those are
Oh
messages
God.
that it's safe.
The
I don't know. That's a
messages.
stretch. That's a stretch, but that's something. Um, yeah, yeah, it was weird. He was behaving really strange, unlike how he was behaving before. So I guess when we see him next, we'll see if he's any different,
Right.
or if it has something to do with all the vomit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Uh yeah. Okay, so are you ready for the next thing here?
I am.
So uh there's this thing. Um Sorry. So, you know, they come out of the interview with Cooper and they're clearly like suspicious cuz like he was being super suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Um and yeah, so Tammy mentions the thing we talked about earlier. He wasn't going to Philadelphia. He was headed west,
Yep.
which I'm totally baffled by. Like makes
Yeah.
no sense to me. Makes no sense to me. Where was he going? I thought I knew. I thought I knew at first, and then I was like, "No, I'm obviously wrong." And then they said this, and it's like, well, now I don't know what to
Yeah.
think.
I guess it'll be important. I guess it'll come. They'll clarify why he was heading west. Maybe he needed to get something before he headed east to the prison. That's the only thing I can think. He needed to get something.
Right?
What did he need
Yeah.
to get?
Yeah. I. I. I don't know.
They weren't just like mistaken by like how his car crashed,
Oh
right?
man, that would be hilarious. They're
Like
just wrong.
they're just wrong about
Even
what
though
what are
like
the.
it's leading them to the right conclusion that he's misleading them.
Uh-huh.
It's for the wrong reason.
Yeah, I wish there was a way we could tell which direction he was heading. I don't think in any of those shots of him driving we really see like highway signs or anything
Yeah.
that say like what direction. Yeah, it'd be interesting if they're just mistaken or where the discrepancy is. Yeah, huh? That's
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, there's something there. Hopefully they'll clarify where he was going. Um,
Because it doesn't even get him off the hook, right? Because he could have phoned Cole and said, "Hey, I'm on my way. I got something to tell you." Like, if it was a
Right.
big story, why would he wait, 20 something hours of driving
Right.
to go tell him?
Right. Secure line.
Well, but he could still say, hey, I've got something.
That's true.
Are you going to be at your office
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah.
before I just show up
Out of nowhere. Yeah. That's a good point.
25 years later?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so you want to talk about the next scene here?
There's a yeah. So I've kind of transitioned to the next scene.
Yep.
There's a slight suggestion that maybe like Albert is feeling bad after the interview. I'm
Mm.
not sure if that's a thing or not. Like
Why do you say that?
he had some kind of reaction. Um,
And why do you say that?
so when the three of them are talking outside, Tammy says a few people who have come into contact with him have gotten physically ill, and then she says, "Are you feeling all right, Albert?"
Mm-hmm.
And he says he's fine, but they did have some shots where it looked like he was being affected in some weird way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that might be a thing. I don't know. He's still projecting the Garmonbozia toxicity. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
There's a little
if
bit
it's
left
that.
over. He didn't quite get it all. I don't know.
I mean, he didn't come in physical contact with them, but
That's true.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Something is up with Albert, though, so I assumed he was feeling the gravity of the situation once he saw, like, okay, that guy is an Agent Cooper.
Right. Yeah. It could
Something's
just be
really
that.
up here, but um, yeah, I hope he's not like gonna get sick or something.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. There's something there. She asked about Philip Jeffries. He mentions he's a former FBI agent. Um, Gordon Cole says, "You're wearing a wire, Tammy," and she says, "You asked me to." And that's a weird moment.
It's weird for a couple of reasons. Yeah.
So name two reasons.
Well, it's weird that
I think I know
uh
one of them.
yeah, it's weird that he would, the way he says it is weird. But it's weird that he would hide that he's recording that interview.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, usually they have recording equipment set up in those things, but it's interesting that, and he could have presumably brought a microphone recorder, but yeah, it would have been obvious to Evil Cooper that he's recording. But yeah, so it's weird that he had her wear a wire. If it was for that interview, that's a weird thing to do.
Right.
Like, you wear the wire.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't he wear the wire, or Albert wear the wire?
And is like the fact that she's wearing wire, is that why she has to leave now?
I think so. I think because they want to have a private conversation,
Yeah,
and
that's what I thought.
he's also going to turn up his device. And
Oh
I don't know if we're
yeah. So he
supposed to
can
see.
speak in a quiet voice.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if that's supposed, if like that would have interfered with the with the
Oh
wire.
yeah, right.
Because it looks wireless now. Is it wireless now?
Yeah, it's wireless now.
Yeah, so
It used
maybe
to have
that's the thing.
wires.
Like it would have really picked up on her microphone if he turned his thing up too.
Right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Go wait in the restaurant.
So yeah, so then she goes back inside. We get that little comment that we talked about earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and then
Oh, yeah. So he says, Albert says, "I'm feeling better now."
mm-hmm.
So that suggested he wasn't feeling better before. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah,
does. There's something there.
yeah. There's something there.
Um, so this is where Albert reveals that he had contact with Philip Jeffries, and he gave him some information for Cooper, I guess, though he didn't talk to Cooper. Um, and Gordon Cole's just finding out about this at this point. Um, and the information was who our man was in Colombia,
Oh, jeez.
and then he was killed. Um, so, well, I mean, I guess I guess Philip Jeffries was down there in South America at some point. Um, but it definitely raises a lot of questions.
Well, it's just a weird situation to start, right? Like Philip Jeffries, who disappeared, right?
Yeah,
Like he was gone for 2 years, according to the agency. Reappeared for a second, then disappeared again. And so we're supposed to believe that he calls Albert sometime recently, right? Like,
no, didn't he say it was a long time ago? I thought he said it
uh,
was years ago. I guess I
he
thought it was
said Philip
years.
Jeffries has been off the radar for years. And then he says this was years ago, Gordon.
Yeah,
So it's
there
not
you go.
clear how long ago. I'm trying to make a distinction between like in the last 10 years or or was it 25 years ago?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Like it
didn't
seems like
specify.
it was more recent than the original timeline.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it was clearly between the end of the series and now.
Yeah, but because I mean, how long ago it is would be very interesting to know because he says he authorized Philip to give Cooper some information. So, but I guess my point is like, Philip is not even part of the FBI,
Right.
right? So why is he calling Albert to get authorization to give Cooper, who was also not a part of the FBI at this point, presumably because he's gone AWOL,
Yeah.
information? Like the whole setup doesn't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? If Philip has the information, then he can give it to Cooper without asking permission. Unless they're trying to say that Albert has the information and Philip needed to get it from Albert, but he wanted it to share with Cooper.
Yeah, I guess I thought it meant the information came from him along with the authorization.
Mm-hmm.
Um though he doesn't phrase it that way.
Mm-hmm. He says, I thought Cooper was in trouble. That's at least what Philip said. So Philip's like,
Mhm.
hey, Cooper's in trouble.
Yeah.
We need, or he needs to know who the man in Colombia is. Okay, okay. So that's what he's saying. Yeah, that he told him that.
Yeah.
He told him who he was.
Yeah.
And it was to give to Cooper because he said Cooper needed it to get him out of trouble. Okay, okay. That makes sense. Um, but neither one is the FBI. Neither one, yeah. So he really screwed up there.
It's kind of a mess. Yeah. And yeah, this happened years ago, and then I thought we could just forget about it and move on with our lives.
And then the guy dies, and Albert doesn't say anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Like that's kind of a fuck up, I would
I
say.
think this is almost like another character that they're calling into question, like his morality.
Definitely.
Like,
Yeah.
like everyone has these secrets.
I know. I know. It's crazy.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Like the original Twin Peaks was about the secrets of the people in the town, and this is a series. This season's about the secrets of everybody else or something.
It's about the FBI secrets.
Yeah,
They got all these. They
everybody
got all
got
these
secrets.
internal weird issues, and we're gonna expose them now. Yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
strange. It's definitely strange. It's a strange reveal on its own, let alone the moral ambiguity.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really confused. Yeah, I guess that's what I guess that's what Gordon says at the end. I don't understand this situation at all.
Oh, it's great.
Um, because yeah, I mean, I don't feel like I really get it yet. Certainly not a lot of these details.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so they reference the Blue Rose. Um, and oh right, and they need someone, a certain person, to go take a look at Cooper, and Albert knows where she drinks,
She knows what she drinks.
and
There's
then they
only one
cut
place to
to
drink.
the Roadhouse, which may or may not be the place he means.
Yeah, right. Because we have
Normal,
to obligatorily cut to the Roadhouse at the end of the
because it's the
episode.
end of the episode, so we get our three keyboard and drum machine group
Uh huh.
headlining the Roadhouse this evening.
Yeah. So Blue Rose. It doesn't get any bluer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a clear reference as far as the cases involving the strange supernatural-ish stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm gonna guess it's Annie or Shelly.
Okay,
Those are the only two people who I mean, it could be Norma. I don't think it's
Norma.
her. Uh,
Um,
that actress died, right?
no, no, she's still alive.
Oh, she's still alive?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I'm expecting to see her in the series.
Oh, good. That's better
Um,
than what I was thinking.
no, no, she's
Um,
totally still alive.
okay, cool.
Um,
Um, yeah, who else? What do you think it is?
uh, well, let's see. I mean, in terms of characters from the series, like who else could it be? It could be Audrey Horn
Audrey Horn.
if she's coming back. She knew Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
so they could go in that direction.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, did Cole and Albert ever meet Annie?
uh, I don't think so.
Yeah, but they did meet Audrey, right? I feel
Mm,
like she showed up.
I'm not sure about that either. It's possible. It's possible. I mean, she was around more, definitely. But the thing is, like,
You know who it is?
who is it?
It's Diane.
Oh God.
I
Oh
bet
God,
it's
it could totally be
Diane. I
Diane.
bet it's Diane.
Oh no, did Diane like quit her job and become an alcoholic after Cooper disappeared? It's gonna be really sad.
Oh man. Yeah, it could be. She's not getting any more tapes. She
Like,
just
tell
listens
me
to
he
the old
didn't like
tapes.
ruin her life. Like, there's no
Mm-hmm.
more tapes. I don't know what to
Dude,
do with myself.
I bet it's Diane. I hope it's Annie, but I bet. Oh man, it'd be so
That's
cool if
actually
it's
a really good
Diane.
theory. Actually a really good theory. I feel like it's not Annie just because I have my suspicions about Annie, and the Diane theory totally makes sense.
And the fact that because I'm like, who is the person they both know knows Cooper very well, and
Yeah,
that's only Diane.
definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you
After
nailed
all this
it.
time, after
With
all this
like,
time.
yeah, and they're gonna build up a meeting with Diane because we've never seen her
Mm-hmm.
on screen.
And it'll be Laura Dern or
Yeah,
like
it'll be someone significant.
mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh wow, that'll be fun.
Yeah. That'll be so weird. That'll be so weird. Yeah, speaking of like fucking up everything from the series.
mm-hmm.
Like, here's Diane. What?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yeah.
there is this missing piece where Cooper supposedly talks to Diane in her office, but you don't see her or hear her.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't. It's still this weird, like, maybe Diane is just in his mind.
Yeah.
Diane is his like imaginary friend.
Or like it's a code word or something. Or...
Yeah, yeah. Like there's some kind of weird. It's some weird Cooper thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if they actually meet her, then it's all over at that point. Even though like someone sent those ear pillows.
Oh yeah.
So it does seem like Diane exists at certain points in the series. Um, but how did he send the tapes? I mean, how did the tape exchange program work? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like he had to like mail tapes constantly. Like, what was the deal with that? It's weird.
Oh, that'd be great if they were like, if they cut to like the Twin Peaks post office and they just have a box of old tapes that they never got mailed. And he's like, "Oh yeah, the address was wrong, and they never got mailed."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That would be great.
Cooper's lost tapes.
And they could go through them and find out something important, maybe.
Something. That's what's
Yeah.
missing. Cooper's tapes. Maybe that's
Cooper's
what's missing.
tapes. Cooper's tapes. Yeah,
Wow,
that's
that's
interesting.
that's kind of something they could maybe have a record of, but not actually have the tapes.
That's true. That's true.
Wow, that'd be weird. And they're like, "Where would the tapes be? They're at
Mm-hmm.
the post office or something."
Mm-hmm.
Um. All right. Well, this has been a marathon podcast.
Fucking A.
Um. I still think this is the best stuff I've ever seen on TV.
Yep.
It's
It's
still,
great. It's really exciting to have
yeah. I
this
mean,
stuff to think about and
yeah. I'm never
watch.
this unprepared for a story than when I'm watching this show because you just have no clue where it's going, and again, just that idea of anything being possible,
Yeah.
and they keep even the stuff we thought we had a handle on, all the Black Lodge stuff keeps evolving. And they keep showing us different things it can do and different
Yeah.
facets of it, and that's all very, very interesting. And with what 14 more parts,
Oh God.
it's just getting started. So,
Yep.
I mean, what's the climax of this story gonna be? If
I have
if
no
if we're
idea.
already this deep into weirdness,
Yeah.
we've had three Coopers, and I
Mm-hmm.
mean, what's the climax gonna be?
Yeah, it's really hard to tell. It's like so far in the future at this point, you know? I mean,
Or is it far in the past?
we're like less than a quarter of the way through the story, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And so much has happened so far. So it's like, as much as there is left, like, it could be so much more could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, are they gonna dispose of Evil Cooper and go on to something else? You know, I really don't know what to expect.
Yeah, it seems like he could very easily not be the main villain.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Like the story could move beyond him, and like part of the point of this is just to like resolve that Evil Cooper plot.
yeah, because he could just stay in jail, and they go, "Oh, that's Evil Cooper. Keep him in prison."
Yeah, there you go.
But then
There
what
you
does he
go.
do? Like, I don't know if he could just break out of jail. He doesn't seem extraordinarily strong.
No,
At
no,
least we haven't seen any powers or anything.
not
So,
really.
but yeah, the whole Triple Cooper's calls into question what's a person. What is a person on this show? Because if you can manufacture people
Right. Who
and people
can
can go
seemingly like
through,
live a life and have kids
yeah, and
and.
but then it turn it to a bead, but then like other people can travel through the cosmos and experience these other realities, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's all crazy.
It's totally crazy. It's Twin
Uh,
Peaks: The Return.
yeah, that's what it is. All right, well we'll be back. Not next week, I guess. Yeah, next week. Yeah,
Next
next week.
week.
Yeah, sorry. We're back next week with episode
Uh
part
oh.
5. I know, right? It's like Bloody Mary or something. You go in the mirror and you say episode 3
Mm-hmm.
times, and the tree doppelganger shows up, and non-existence is you.
Oh God. God, that's horrifying.
It's one of the great existential dreads ever depicted, right? Of on TV, I think, of that idea of like just being blanked out of existence.
Yeah.
When the zigzag floor opens up,
Yeah. Who knew that was even possible?
who? That's what's great, Who knew the floor could like be 3D like that and just like
Yeah.
do all that weird stuff and then open up and there's like water, the black
Mm-hmm.
water that is space.
Blackwater space. Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta love it.
You do.
Cool. Well, until next time, thanks for listening.
All right. Thanks. See you next time.